Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody, to Some Ass. I'm Adam,
And I'm Steve.
and this is Show, Adam Steve's show. We talk about movies and stuff, and there's plenty of movie stuff to go around, even though it's January and the slate is a little bit slower. We're catching up from the Christmas slate. We're touching on the award season buzz, and we're going to touch on some of the significant January releases. Steve, what would you like to talk about first?
The thing that's on the top of my mind, it's a movie that came out a long time ago, but it actually just now finally got re-released in IMAX. And it's a movie that I avoided watching for some time. It came out the year I graduated, 2014, and that is Chris Nolan's Interstellar. Now, I'm
Yes.
so happy I waited for this movie because obviously I missed it on its original theatrical run and I just really wanted to see it. But I've owned it on Vudu for several years. But I mean, yourself actually was part of the encouragement of knowing the re-release was coming soon and just told me just to hold off on it. And I'm glad I did that because the sound and everything, I mean, it vibrated the seats, even though the seats weren't like a 4DX type thing. It was just normal seating, but the sound is so loud and impactful that it just did it on its own with all the mixing and everything. So a lot of great stuff in this. I mean, the story is incredible. Everyone in it's good. It's just a really all-time great movie. So definitely happy I had that experience. But obviously, what's your take on it? I know you love it too.
I love it as well. I think that my hottest take on the film is it's kind of wild because I remember being there at the time. I'm really into film. I'm watching all these movies. I'm following the award season stuff. And I remember there was a kind of a lukewarm reception to Interstellar.
I
You
saw
know,
that. Yeah.
like everyone was generally favorable to it, but like it had like a 70 something on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe. I might be wrong, but it wasn't nominated for a slew of awards besides like technical awards. Like it didn't get a Best Picture nom or anything like that, which
Yeah.
Nolan had been accustomed to at this point. Because Inception got it, Dark Knight Rises didn't get it, but that's like a sequel,
Hmm.
superhero thing. This is like just, I think there's a perfect Nolan sci-fi trilogy in the form of Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet. So the fact that Interstellar so aligns itself with Inception, and to this day, honestly, most people would put Interstellar above Inception. Like if you look at IMDb's rankings, you look at the Letterboxd rankings, you look at just a word of mouth in general, like this movie has like ascended to elite god tier status, and it's crazy to see how the perception of a film changes over time.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that because I was looking at it, I was like, there's got to be like a bunch of Oscar nominations for this movie. Like McConaughey's probably nominated, Best Picture, all that kind of stuff. And I was very shocked to find that it wasn't. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And to think back on it, like, yeah, those movies do kind of work in a little like trilogy of themselves, and that's really cool. But I honestly would have to go back and really watch Inception, but I mean, obviously it's my first time watching Interstellar, but I think Interstellar has just a bit more rewatchability, especially just when it comes to like the everyday watcher of films, like not necessarily us who are super fans, but I feel like the story of Interstellar is kind of just more of like a everyday people like will connect to it more because Matthew McConaughey feels more like an everyday kind of guy, more than a lot of the people in Inception and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think it has more of like that homegrown feel to it, and honestly, more of like how the Earth is kind of acting lately and things. Like it's not that extreme out of realm possibility of like us running out of resources and shit really going bad.
One of my favorite things about the film is the world building that they do. Like
Yeah.
I always used to like champion like when they go to the Yankee game and like you see what the Yankees have like resorted to, because we know the Yankees and they're like the premier baseball team, like one of the premier sports franchises, period. So to see them like look so lackadaisical in the stadium to look like a little league field. And
Yeah.
I think when I rewatched it recently, my favorite part of the movie is when he has the parent teacher conference, and they like talk to him about like the moon landing being faked, and he obviously gets mad about the notion of that, and then they talk about disciplining the child at home, and he's like, oh, I think I'll take it to a baseball game with some popcorn and candy, and
Yeah.
I love that little like conflict moment, but that kind of shows like how we got there and how the world is to this point. And you learn so much about like what that crazy implications of the fact that now it's common knowledge that we didn't go to the moon and that it was a hoax. And, just little stuff like that really makes you feel like this is a world that we could become. And, it feels close to the world that we're living in now?
Yeah, the same thing when it comes to like him having the conversation with the teacher about Timothy Chalamet and basically like he's really smart, but he's not smart enough to be an engineer person. And we don't need a bunch more engineers. We need farmers because we don't have food. And it was just so sad that people that in this world have so much potential, but literally there's nothing to really put that towards rather than trying to do this simple task that literally everyone needs to survive. And it was
Mhm.
just building that world out even more of like, there's not even a whole lot of options for these people. Like they basically live a life of you do this one thing and if it doesn't work, oh well, at least we tried type of deal. And it's very
Mhm.
depressing in a way, but also like when the movie's going on, you almost feel hope for them in a lot of different ways. And then with all the time stuff happening, it's even more, it like goes back and forth with feeling hope and despair in a lot of moments, but it kind of makes it just, especially by the end of it, it wraps it in such a nice little bow that it's just a really fun story to go through. And honestly, with it being like nearly 3 hours long or whatever it is, you don't really feel that runtime whatsoever.
So it is one of those movies that's like really in depth and it's hard to understand, and that's what adds to the rewatchability. Is there anything like specifics from the movie? Because even me watching it like for like my third, fourth time, I was like, oh, I never even thought about that, or I'm re-remembering that or realizing that. Is there anything, or you feel like you got it? You know what I mean?
I'm very curious to go back, especially like I know it was like very out there about like the whole ghost thing, and like it was kind of obvious when it's a couple of moments, especially once it got like halfway through the movie. I was like, oh yeah, especially with all how the time's working and everything, like something's gonna happen here, and then he's gonna do something. But then just I love how that kind of turned out, and I'm very curious to rewatch it now and just see all the little like bits and pieces sprinkled in of like teasing that it's him in the
Hmm.
like in that little time area that he's in. And
A little time
honestly,
area.
I love how they ended the movie too. Like this obviously doesn't need a sequel whatsoever, but I love how they kind of ended it with Anne Hathaway starting the whole new colony and things like that, and building that hope at the end too, even though you've dealt with such sad shit right before that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think there will ever be a sequel, but it is one of those where you're like, oh, what does happen afterwards? You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Where it makes you think about it. And yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's an awesome movie. Where would you put it in your Nolan rankings? Like, is
Oh,
what haven't
it's
you seen?
um I'm not really sure. I'd really have to look at his filmography at the moment, but I've seen a pretty good amount, I think, and it's definitely like I said, I need to go back and rewatch a few of them, but it's definitely peeking its way toward the top. Like I really, really I don't know if I like it more than Oppenheimer, but a movie that reminded me of Oppenheimer is a movie we're going to talk about in a little bit, but it's right up there toward the top of like I'm still like the huge fan of The Dark Knight and things like that and think that's kind of like a perfect movie in itself, but there are so many Christopher Nolan movies that I could consider perfect, like um not Interstellar, but the one we just talked about a second ago. Why can't I say the name right now?
Oppenheimer,
Inception.
Inception.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I just, there's not really a movie I dislike of his, but yeah, I definitely put it towards the top. Like, it's a 5 out of 5 for me. I would watch it again right now. Whenever I told my brother, I was like, I know you haven't seen it yet, and you probably won't go to IMAX anytime soon, but I really wish you would, just because it's that great of a movie.
Yeah, I would put it. I think I like Inception more. I know I like The Dark Knight more. I know I like Oppenheimer more. So it's not in my top three. And then I like would honestly struggle to put this above Dark Knight Rises and Begins, just because I think those are super underrated. And then I don't know
I'm
what
with
The
you on Begins. I don't know
Prestige.
about Rises. I haven't rewatched Rises since the theater just because I didn't really
Mhm.
love it then, but. Yeah, same with me. I mean, I probably might even bump Begins. Begins is probably like right next to it. Like I'd probably put Interstellar above it, but that's probably where I'd put it at, like around like a 4.
Well, that's crazy because I would feel more confident saying I like Dark Knight Rises more than Interstellar than I would saying Batman Begins. But I'm like huge on Dark Knight Rises. I love what Tom Hardy did with Bane and everything.
I love Scarecrow and shit in the first one a lot.
No, I agree. The first one's also great. You know what I mean? I'm
It's
that's what I'm
actually the
saying.
first
I think these are in my
DVD that
top
I
five.
got. Like my grandpa bought me a DVD player like when they were newer, and he bought me a DVD player with Batman Begins. So that's why I'm like obsessed with that one the most.
And well, and then a lot of people would say we're underrating Dunkirk and Tenet and
Yeah,
Prestige,
I've never been a
Memento.
big Memento is good, but I've never been a big fan of honestly like especially any of those truly. Like Dunkirk, I've never really liked it that much. Memento, I have to rewatch it again, but I think I got a bit like I wasn't in the mood for it, I think more than anything when I watched it. It wasn't that long ago.
Mhm. But
But
Nolan's
I
amazing. Like I think we can
exactly
agree.
like we
Yeah.
can't really like none of these movies, even though I'm talking about them a bit more negatively, none of them are below like 3.5 to 4 stars for me. Like he's always making a great movie regardless, just from a pure filmmaking standpoint. He knows what he's doing.
Well, so obviously you've participated in popular culture for the past decade plus.
Yeah.
So you're aware that Matt Damon was in the movie.
Yes. I
Okay.
knew about it a little bit, but when it happened, I didn't remember truly. Like when he was revealed toward the end, I was like, "Oh
Uh,
shit." When they like pulled him out of the cryo freeze or whatever.
and also being a part of like, being a fan of film stuff and being on social media, you probably saw the scene of them, him in the time thing with the bookshelves,
Yeah, I
and
never
that was shot
had
practically.
yeah, so I never had any like context to some of those things. Same thing as like the whole meme that basically came out of Matthew McConaughey crying at the screen watching the videos from his son and shit.
Mhm.
Like all that kind of stuff. I like knew about these things, but I didn't really get any context from them. But now knowing the context, it kind of makes them work more.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely left its impression. It's a visually gorgeous movie. It has so much to say. The performances are great. This is any other filmmaker, and this would be their best movie. And it's crazy that's not even like in my top three for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 out of 5.
Hell yeah, same.
What's another one that I want to get through? Well, actually, you brought up a movie that is my favorite movie of the year. I'm so happy that you watched it. I'm really trying to get as many people as I can to watch this movie and specifically get their take on it. And it's on HBO Max now. And I would love to hear what you thought about A Different Man.
So yeah, I actually watched A Different Man. Like it was either the day after or like 2 days after we recorded the last episode. And I had been wanting to watch it and it finally come available to me. And I I think I actually so we made our top tens in the last episode, and I think I've already put two movies from last year into my top 10, if not more. And that's
Mhm.
being one of them. Like A Different Man, I thought was incredible. Truly, at this point, like I loved Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump, and I loved that he was nominated. I would have nominated him for this because I loved his performance in this, and I love what this movie kind of had to say. Like, I don't want to go into spoilers too much because, like you said, I want more people to watch this movie, and I'm also been like championing it since I've watched it. But
Mhm.
obviously, I mean, the story is Sebastian Stan doesn't start off Sebastian Stan. He starts off as a different actor. With this man actually has this real face deformity in real life. And
Mhm.
then he ends up in this movie similar to like The Substance actually. That's kind of what it kind of reminded me of. He gets this treatment for this pill that basically changes his whole face and makes him more handsome physically. And then he kind of, I mean, as the movie plays out, he kind of finds that maybe his face wasn't the problem. And it's really interesting to find just to see the story play out and see Sebastian Stan's performance of just this guy who's just struggling so hard to try to find his place in the world. And it has some very interesting things to say and also didn't like play it up too much for laughs. Like it's definitely like a bit of a dark comedy, but it's also very much just a drama. And I don't know, it's a very interesting movie and truly one of my favorites of the year.
So I want to touch on a few things you said, but first, so I imagine if it's in your top 10, you have it at a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
And then where was it in your top 10?
Let me look right now, but I want to say it's right around like the six-ish
I
area.
was thinking you were going to say six. In my head, I thought the number six. That's awesome. I'm really happy that you loved it this much. One thing that you brought up that I definitely want to touch on is you compared it, the themes of
Seven,
it
sorry.
to, oh no. You compared it to The Substance, and it is also a movie that I heavily compared to The Substance. And honestly, I watched this before I watched The Substance, and I think that made The Substance worse because I thought when I was talking about what I didn't like about the themes of The Substance, it was in part because I so much love the themes of A Different Man. I love everything that A Different Man is about. Because both movies have a character that's going through some kind of a transformation, right? Because
Yeah,
they're upset about the way their physical appearance and how other people in society perceive them, right? So they go through this drastic change, and it's them dealing with the consequences of that decision. But whereas the substance like blames everyone, I love that A Different Man blames our main character
the
in
individual,
question.
yeah.
Yeah, because the whole point of the movie to me is we are masters of our own universe. That's like a phrase that I always like to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We can make within reason, the world the way we want it to be. It's all about our perspective. And so it's great that the movie sits there and says, your life isn't bad because of this physical abnormality. Your life is bad because you've resigned yourself because of this physical abnormality. You know what I mean? You've completely like, closed yourself off. You're completely not proactive whatsoever. He's got the hole in the roof and he doesn't do a thing about it
yep,
whatsoever. He doesn't make a move with the girl he likes. He doesn't, he's not really doing much of anything. And so for him to learn that that was on him, like that like it's up to us. You know what I mean? We can't control anyone else. I can't control how other people are going to perceive me and how they're going to look at me and how they're going to, treat me. I can't control that. But what I can control is how I carry myself, what I think, what I do. And that's what I really love about the movie. And it punishes him for not being proactive. And it's very funny. Like, it's very darkly funny because I'm never laughing at the movie being like, oh, your face is fucked up. I'm
yeah,
laughing at the honestly, the funniest thing in the world to me is Sebastian Stan making this face.
yeah,
Like just being completely perplexed by everything that's going on. And I think it's like this like almost like a cruel twist of fate, like almost like a soap opera. You know what I mean? And it really has a lot of fun playing around with this idea, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Honestly can't say anything else. I mean, you kind of nailed everything right on the head, exactly how I feel about it. I mean, it's very much just about like life. You kind of just control your own destiny and you can't really let it pass you by and just let everything happen to you and be passive. And it's a very interesting story. Yeah, I can't wait to
Mhm.
watch it again, truly.
Yeah, I've gone through it like three times. I showed my parents. That was interesting. Because I told them I was like this is my favorite movie of the year, and it's way more normal than my other previous favorite movies of the year. Which it is, but even then, it's still like a little like. There's two other themes I also wanted to talk to you about was number one. First of all, this is like a film people's movie. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
cinephiles because it's a movie about a movie because one thing I learned in my research is the director, the reason why he wanted to make this movie is because he made a movie previously with this guy, Adam Pearson, right? And critics were like, oh, that's very exploitative, like you're using him and that's cheap and, the casting of a guy with a disfigured face, you know what I mean? And so he was like, okay, well, I'll make a movie about the ethical situation of casting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I love because that's a big problem we have. I mean, do you remember the film Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
Yeah, major issue. Oh my God, how dare you have a white person play a Japanese role? And then, oh my gosh, is a trans person allowed to play a straight person? Is a straight person allowed to play a trans person? Or is that stealing roles away from trans
Is a
people?
black person allowed to play a mermaid?
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like the little people. Like Peter Dinklage in the new Snow White movie. Is it offensive to have little people be in that movie? But then by making a fuss and now they're all CG, now there's a bunch of little people don't have work. They heard
Yeah.
that movie's being announced and like, wow, what an opportunity for me to be in something. And now it's like, no, I can't be in a role that would fit me perfectly because it's not PC enough.
Yeah, we're gonna ostracize you to be PC. Is that really being PC?
Yeah, and I think the thing that the movie really discovers is how like circular this all is, cyclical.
Yeah.
Anything can be perceived. We always like to talk about like with racism, like anything can be perceived as racist. You know what I mean? And anything could be perceived as offensive. You know what I mean? In a very similar way. And so this movie like plays with that. Like I love watching Renee Resv. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but the girl from The Worst Person in the World. Did you watch that?
I haven't. I know about it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, please, please, please. It's a great, great, great movie. But she's wonderful in that. And here I love how her character is so fake woke, I would say.
Yeah.
She's constantly trying to do the right thing and she's constantly changing her opinion. Because yeah, at the end of the day, there is no right answer,
Yeah,
and I
it's
love
like
that that's what the movie's.
performative social justice in a way.
Yeah, and then like I said, it's a cinephiles type of movie. So we watch the first 45 minutes is a story, and then the next hour of the movie is analyzing the first 45 minutes, and we're watching the story happen on stage, and we're, criticizing what's happening in the first.
Yeah, the characters are basically
Ah.
directly criticizing their own lives in a lot of ways.
And it's brilliant, and I love that it's like kind of in his own, and it's so epically cruel to Sebastian Stan's character that he has to watch the idealized version of his previous life play out before him, and that causes him not to enjoy his newfound life. You know what I mean? It punishes him for killing himself effectively. I mean, I know he didn't like, but
Yeah.
we see his neighbor kills himself with a noose, and he watches that. They have a conversation. Would you ever kill yourself? You know what I mean? And she gets mad at him for not saying no. This is a dude. He doesn't give a fuck about his apartment or anything. He's on the verge of killing himself, and there's a mini sci-fi element. The whole surgery, whatever, experimental drug, whatever.
Yeah.
But like in reality, there is no experimental drug, and he kills himself. And you know, so for him to go back to his apartment and they say, "Hey, where is this guy?" and him to declare himself dead, and so in an effort to leave that life behind and start anew, you're killing yourself. You're killing that person. And so this whole movie's like almost like a mean version of It's a Wonderful Life. You know what I mean? Like you have to
Yeah.
watch the best version of your life happen. You're going to learn that you were stupid and wasting your time for not. We get one apple. We get one life and we get one or that apple is our life and take bites out of it. You know what I mean? Like you don't waste it. And
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that that's what the movie is all about to me. So in contrast to the substance, whereas the substance is like it's everyone else's fault. This is like no, it's you there's no blame on anyone else. We are the masters of our own universe. We are the ones who make the decisions for ourselves and we can make our lives whatever we want them to be, if we set our mind to it.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly I'm like in love with this movie. I'm totally fawning over it. I think the
Yeah, no,
prosthetics are great. It's very funny. The performances are
it,
brilliant.
I echo everything you're saying. I mean, I love it and I think it's really, really awesome. And I'm very happy that it's at least getting some recognition. People are still talking about it. And
It won the
although
Golden
it
Globe.
didn't get exactly, although it didn't get all of the award recognition I wished it got, I'm still happy it's being talked about. And I hope at least if from this, more people will see it, even just a couple. And yeah, 5 out of 5 for me. Go watch it for sure.
Oh, also, did you like the cameo that happened towards the end of the movie?
Trying to remember what it
They're
was.
like they're meeting with a celebrity.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I have really, really loved that. Yeah. I
I
totally
love
forgot
it.
and I was like, wait, is he really playing himself? I was like, it's amazing.
Also, when he goes to the bar for the first time or second time, with the new
Yeah.
face, whatever, and the guys who come up to him are all wearing Met stuff. I was like, this is for me. But
Hell
yeah, I
yeah.
couldn't love this movie more. I think haunting film, hilarious film. I almost felt bad because when I watched it with my family, like every time we cut to Sebastian Stan's face in the second half, I laughed so hard, and they're like, "Was this supposed to be funny?" You know, and but it's funny to me now. But yeah, I could rave forever. 5 out of 5 favorite movie of the year, whatever.
Hell yeah. Um, Another movie. Go back a little bit. Actually, I'll just throw one in real quick. I watched Hellboy, A Crooked Man, straight to VOD. Very, very low budget, but honestly, it's very reminiscent in like the style and especially how Hellboy looks in it. I think he looks more like the comic book Hellboy than even especially David Harbour and maybe even honestly Ron Perlman. Like the guy, because he's kind of like has that more thin build and everything. And
Mhm.
honestly, like the movie is not great. Like there's a lot of, especially some of the more digital effects. There's some practical stuff that looks really cool, but some of the digital effects, like there's one part where like I want to say this witch like turns in from like a some type of animal. I can't remember if it's like a cat or whatever, but like the way it transforms is like completely digital and it looks like they ran out of money during the actual like process of making this effect. Like
Mhm.
it's like from the early 2000s that bad, but it's a fun movie for what it is. I gave it like a 3 out of 5. If you're a fan of like goofy, horror-ish action, and especially like it's in the same style a bit of like the Crank movies, the same director, obviously, and especially if it's on a streaming service eventually, if it doesn't cost you anything, it's a fun little like 90 minute, I don't even think it's even 90 minutes actually. It's not very long at all, but it is fun to watch at least.
Yeah, I would check it out, especially since I'm trying to see every superhero movie ever, and I just haven't been presented with an opportunity. And I like Hellboy solely because of my love for those two Guillermo del Toro films. I
Mhm.
hate the new one that came out of like 5 years, 6 years ago at this point. But yeah, no, I would give this one a chance, especially since I hate the David Harbour one so much.
Yeah, I definitely didn't hate that one, but it's definitely the least of all of them, even this new one, in my opinion. Like, this one I feel like nails the actual like Hellboy stuff a bit more. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's cool.
Hmm. Another movie that you brought up that I would like to talk about is I would love to get your take on The Brutalist, actually.
Ooh, so I spent a lot of time at the movie theater yesterday because I saw The Brutalist first, and then immediately afterward in IMAX was the Interstellar showing. So I was there for
7 hours.
7 hours, yeah.
Hmm.
But that being said, some of the best 7 hours I've had in a long time. The Brutalist, I really didn't know a whole lot going into it. Like I knew Adrian Brody was in it, but a lot of the trailers were pretty much like the names of the actors, and that was pretty much it that I ever saw. And I kind of loved it for that, and that's why went to see it opening weekend. And yeah, I was actually surprised that the audience was there because same thing with the Interstellar one. A good amount of people, maybe half full theater. Nobody of like a specific, like it wasn't like older people. It was all ages, all demographics. That being said, though, this movie doesn't feel like it's for everybody because it's very much like in the same kind of vibe as like um Oppenheimer in a way. Like we're following this single character for the most part and kind of following him through several different eras of his life, but and him kind of like he's not really the most sympathetic protagonist. He does some shitty things. And I mean, he does it's kind of interesting to follow it. I mean, I wrote it in my review that in the first 5 minutes we see Adrian Brody's dick, and that wasn't something I was expecting right away, especially in IMAX.
Hmm.
But also, I mean, we even have an intermission in this movie, which is not a very common practice in today's world, but it also fits the time period that we're in for the movie. So I just had a lot of fun with this. Like I said, I was not expecting anything, and I was very pleasantly surprised, and also at the same time not surprised at all that this has a slew of nominations because it's definitely that kind of movie, and I think it's probably going to run away with a lot of those.
What did you rate it?
I gave it a 5 out of 5. Like, I think it's pretty incredible. If it, like, I think
Yeah,
I wrote at the end of my review that if it won Best Picture, I would not be shocked at all.
yeah, I think it's a strong contender for Best Picture and a lot of other major awards like director and actor. I don't
Yeah.
want it to win. I'll give the lukewarm response to it.
I saw you gave it a lukewarm rating. That's why I'm very curious about what you feel about it.
Yeah, because like it's just long and he sucks and I don't really think he's compelling like at all. Like I don't know, like Adam Sandler sucks in Uncut Gems. You know what I mean? That character is a bad person, but he's compelling and I'm like really
Yeah.
interested in seeing him achieve his goal. I don't give a shit about the building. Okay? Fuck this building. I don't care about
It's
his relationship with his wife. I don't care about his relationship with the rich
I,
guy.
that being said, like truly I can agree with you on some of that. I don't really like I didn't really love him that much. I loved the world they built and like a lot of the people around him. Like I was more curious of like all of his different relationships and his almost interactions of them more than actually his story himself. Like truly, I have to think about it sometimes to even remember that the character's name is Laszlo. Like I just keep calling him Adrian Brody the whole time.
Yeah, there's also just like a lot of gross stuff that happens in it, like uncomfortable gross stuff.
Yeah, that is
And I
one
don't really
thing that
want to see that. It's gross.
yeah, I could definitely agree with you on that. It definitely could like it catches you just completely out of left field. It doesn't feel like it's really that necessary for this movie to have those just like obvious scenes of just crazy nudity and crazy sex
Mhm.
stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen anything else from this director. I don't know really anything about him, but I will give him extreme praise of how this movie looks and everything. And a lot of the shots
Mhm.
in this, like straight up, I think I might have wrote that down too, that some of these shots straight up look like if you took a still shot of the screen, it looks like something that could be like sitting as a painting in like an art studio. Like truly some really cool ass cinematography in this one.
No, I agree with that. It's a very technically well-made movie. It's just that the story didn't connect with me and the characters didn't connect with me. I remember I said during the intermission because I watched this like months ago. And I was like, oh, gee, I hope he builds the building. Like, I just didn't really feel like a lot was really at stake and that I cared at all about anything that was really happening. So I'm going to be really bummed when it wins a bunch of stuff. I mean, I will think it, I do hope Brady Corbett wins an award because I think, especially, just to like spoil one of my takes for the Oscars nominations real quick. I'm really excited. I think we have three brilliant opportunities at a politically charged speech. And I think that that's going to be really funny. And I think one of them is if Brady Corbett wins director or I guess picture. And because he's already, I've read, I've watched him talk about like, oh, it's about Trump and capitalism and stuff. None of that really lands with me at all. The read on the movie that I
Uh,
really like, well, go ahead.
well, I was just saying, I can see it especially from that the character that he's referring to, I would assume, is the
Guy
character
Pearce.
that Guy Pearce plays. Yeah. Especially them being so dominant in some ways. That was quite disturbing of all of that happening. But I
Hmm.
also think that that was probably some of the most compelling parts of this whole story of him just being such a horrible individual, but coming off as so, oh, I'm just this nice guy who's helping everybody. And he's constantly like being like, oh, I'm because your family couldn't help you, I'm your guy. I'm gonna help you. And I'm just gonna keep basically using him for his own gain in a lot of ways, literally, metaphorically, and physically, unfortunately. And yeah, I can definitely see where he's coming from in those statements. And I mean, it's not wrong in saying so and kind of the way he depicted things.
I just need to rewatch it again. My favorite take on the movie is my buddy Joe said it's kind of reminds him about like a director trying to make a movie. You know what I mean? And Laszlo is, an architect trying to make a building, and having these, other things at play that are, affecting your vision and you have to, adhere to what your producers say and this is your baby, this is your life work. And then the idea of like posthumously, like maybe not posthumously, but like after it's all done, people are constantly like reassessing your work and it becomes a part of culture and art. and how it ages over time is interesting. And I really like the ending of the with the 80s thing.
Yeah.
I really liked. I thought that was an interesting way to end the movie. But yeah, I just thought the whole movie was like a bummer and it was boring, and I gave it a 3. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can agree with you on a few of those points, but I just never, well, at the same time, I started to feel the runtime. Like I was starting to get tired at the intermission, so I needed that 10 minutes to really just walk around for a second, and then I was completely back in. And like the second half kind of just like steamrolled for me. Like I never really got bored at all, and I think I just really clued into especially that whole back end of the story and everything. And I mean, like you were saying right there about it being like the director's story, I think it's like just an artist story in general of like going through and basically having someone control you in a lot of ways and your vision kind of being stifled by so many other people wanting to stick their own ideas and their own hands in your own project and everything, and it being just so the whole process of creating art, especially as a community rather than just the individual, can be so disheartening to the point where you don't even want to create the art anymore, and it's not even like fulfilling in a lot of ways where it used to be.
Yeah, no, I think if it wins, that's fine. I don't want it to win anything, but if it does, that's fine, and everyone else really likes it, and cool, that's good.
I think, yeah, I think we're like on a similar way of like the with the substance in a way. We're like,
Hmm. That's another one. Where I'm like, well, I like the substance a lot more. I actually recently put the substance. I think that and another movie got bumped up from a 3 to a 4. I saw the TV Glow. I graduated both of those.
hell yeah, I'm so happy you watched that one again. I want to watch that one again because I loved it the first time, especially as it like sat with me the next day, and I kind of just kept thinking about it. But I know when
Hmm.
I watch it again, I'll probably love it even more.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm so happy you did that.
Another movie that you brought up that didn't get any awards nominations, but was anticipated to, was Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman. I watched that a little bit ago. You just watched it. How did you feel about it?
You know, I definitely didn't hate it, but I don't love it as much as everyone else, I think it's a very well made movie. And this, I mean, this director, I mean, she did Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. So I was already excited just to see what she did with this, and especially from a technical aspect and from the
Ass.
editing. Yeah, the editing in it I really liked, especially going back and forth of like her like dream state versus like reality and different things like that. And some of the hypersexual moments, everything was like it wasn't overly gratuitous with its sex or anything, and I feel like a lot of people were disappointed for this for some reason. I don't really know why, but I think a lot of what it was saying was fun, but I don't think it was like I don't understand why it was so hyped up. 'Cause I think like the story is something that like I've seen a lot. It's not anything like
Mm.
it's too original, but the
Mhm.
actual like technical side of it, I thought was better than the actual story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like this movie a lot because I think it's hot and sexy, and I think we need more hot and sexy movies. You like the Brutalist with all of its hand jobs and unconsensual
Well,
sex.
let
This
me
is
just
this
drop
is
this in
sexy as
too.
fuck, okay?
You know this, and people who read my letterbox know this, but when I saw Baby Girl, I was sitting in the theater alone, and then after the movie it was literally about to start, like the lights were coming down, and this old lady who was probably 40 plus years older than myself, and I'm 28
Hmm.
years old. And she literally, the movie theater row was empty, and she sat directly next to me for this movie. So it
Wow.
just felt extremely awkward for all of the very, very sexual scenes. And this lady just sitting next to me, just like eating her popcorn. And I'm just like, I don't want to fucking be here anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's an uncomfortable way to watch it. Honestly, though, it sounds like most viewing experiences suck. I went to a press screening and that sucked because these annoying girls behind me were like, this one girl's like making jokes at the screen and they're like talking and giggling the entire time. And a lot of showings when I was just working at the theater, people, teenage boys going in and, moaning sex noises in the back. I saw a mom take her child. This was like 1,000,000% a single digit age child. Like, and I don't even think it
That's
was like it was close,
crazy.
like 9 or 8. I'm thinking like 7, 6. And I that's disgusting. Like taking your child to this kind of a movie, I
Yeah,
think.
because there's nothing in the advertising or anything that says child should come see this whatsoever. I mean, my favorite
Yeah.
thing about it is one of the posters on Letterboxd is a glass of milk, and that still just cracks me the fuck up. Like, the milk stuff truly had me laughing in the movie theater.
Mhm. Well, I will say one of the things I didn't like about it is like I have a dog, and I was like so at the ending of the movie, I was like, don't put that context to it,
Yeah,
because
no, that
I'm
was
also
very
very like
weird.
intimate with my dog. Like I'll like grab her head and I'll be like kissing her a
Hmm.
100 times over and over and over again, and like I love hugging my dog and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so now like after watching that movie, I was like,
Yeah.
stay
No,
over there,
those
Dawn.
moments that I don't think were like fully intended for me to be laughing out loud, I 100% did. I don't know if it was just because of the setting I was in, but I was just like, this movie is actually like, I think it works more as a dark comedy than it does an actual like drama, like steamy story in a lot of ways. Because like
Hmm.
everything, I was like, of course Antonio Banderas is gonna find out that she's cheating on him. Like everything was just like, all right, paint by numbers. We're going
Yeah.
through the story. Like nothing really caught me off guard, you know what I'm saying?
I will say one thing I did think subverted my expectations a bit was the guy. Was it Harris Dickinson? Is that him or is it another
Yeah,
one?
I think so. I got it right
There's
here.
like three white boys who all look like that.
But he's
George
the guy from
McKay.
Iron Claw. Yeah, Harris Dickinson.
Okay, I got it right the first time. Okay, cool. But I like that he like had his own boundaries. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like, yeah, I'm here, I'm trying to fuck. It was like he had his own sensitivities and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I thought that was like an interesting dynamic. But yeah, no, I mean, I gave it a 4. I think maybe with a heart, and I'm a little high on it. I think it's more like a 3. But I would buy the Blu-ray and I would rewatch this. So I'm feeling pretty good about the 4. It's a sexy, fun, hot time. It kind of reminds me of like a Saltburn, tonally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't seen Saltburn still, so I can't speak to that, but I know about all the controversy around it in the scene. But yeah, I mean, I still gave this, I was at like a three and a
The
half
scene,
to a
there's like
four.
5 that are like
Oh,
that. Think of the
I heard
grossest
about
scene
the
in Baby
bathtub
Girl.
thing and stuff like that.
That's pretty gross. That's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's more gross stuff than like the grossest thing in Baby Girl would be like the fifth grossest thing in Saltburn. But that's like
Yeah.
kind of like the appeal of Salt. I can't recommend Saltburn more. Please God, watch Saltburn.
I want to, but now, especially now that I have my own apartment, I think it'll be better. But when it came out, I was still living with my parents, and I was like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah, it's a private watch. And
I
I
was
actually
like, the
watched it
moment I
with
have
my
to fucking
buddy.
watch that around my dad.
And my buddy knows I don't like when people talk during movies. And like 15 minutes in the
Shut
movie, like
up.
all the controversy already happened, with like Saltburn. So like we're going in really open-minded. And like 15 minutes and he turns over to me and he goes, "We love Saltburn." And I was like, shut up. Like yes, but now I say that all the time. I'm like, we love Saltburn. Yes, I
Yeah,
do. I mean, I give it a 4 with the heart. I would put Saltburn definitely ahead of Baby Girl though.
interesting.
But yeah, so I was at a 4. What were you at?
I'm at like a three and a half to a four. I mean, I still really like it, especially from like the technical aspect and everything. I think the lady is an incredible director and everything. And I really like, I would love to see her in more of like the horror thriller realm, like she did with Bodies, Bodies, Bodies in this. Like, I liked her with this movie, but I'd prefer her more. I think she has a really good flair for like the thriller area.
I love Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That's
Me
like one of my
too.
favorite movies of the last 5 years. But yeah, okay. What else did you want to talk about before we get
Well,
to the Oscar
same day that I
noms?
watched that one, I watched The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson.
Yes, yes, yes. Speaking of the substance,
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised by this one. I really didn't know a whole lot about it other than like I kept hearing that Pamela Anderson was in this new movie, so and really the only reason I went and saw it because it was like it fit in between the two movies that I saw or the three movies that I saw that day. It fit in between them, so I honestly was shocked when I found out that Dave Bautista was in it. I had no idea, and I fell in love with his character, and I really hope that he gets to do more dramatic work and stuff because I just thought that his whole back and forth with Pamela Anderson's character was just so cool, and her interaction with the younger characters like Brenda Song and that girl from Sabrina and everything. I forget her name, but
She's in
Kieran Ship,
Twisters.
Kieran Shipka or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all really good in it, and I think the story, I mean, similar to the being what I said about Baby Girl. It's not like anything that's like rewriting or like remaking the wheel or anything here. We're kind of know where the story's gonna go, but we kind of just get, I mean, it's almost similar to like a Sean Baker movie in a lot of ways, where like you just get this kind of
Yeah.
slice of life, you get this moment in their lives of like, oh, this terrible thing is happening to them. Basically, they're all losing their livelihoods, basically, but trying to find their footing in a city that's changed completely since they started and everything. And similar to like the substance and everything else, like time's getting away from them and they don't know what to do and they're kind of lost in this moment. And I mean, this is kind of very much a career kind of like not even revitalization, but just kind of like a career movie for Pamela Anderson because she's obviously very much been like a sexual symbol of Hollywood, especially in the 80s, but no one's really talked about her in the last 20 years since like her sex tape controversy and things like that, unfortunately. So like she's been a victim of so many different things in Hollywood, so it's kind of interesting to see her play this character who's also a victim of aging out of show showgirl showmanship in a lot of ways. And her character, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, I thought was awesome. Like I would have liked to see her nominated as a supporting actress for this more than Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I can vibe with that. I really like this movie as well. I think that in contrast to The Substance, I did really feel bad for the
Yeah.
main character. Like she was way more sympathetic and likable. It's like she's so nice. Excuse me, Jesus. And you see her like she has such good intentions, and just seeing everything around her fall apart. I think my biggest gripes with the movie are kind of my biggest compliments. Number one, it's too short. I could have hung out here a lot longer. And what could I have done for longer? Fleshed out more of the story. I feel like yeah, it was just a slice of life, and I feel like I would have wanted a little bit more beefed up of a narrative. Number two, I want more time with these supporting characters. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, Dave Bautista and Jamie Lee Curtis specifically. I love these characters. I love the performances. I love the actors, and I would just love to see them have more to do and have more time to shine. And I think that if they would have gotten nominated. One thing that I want to bring up that I don't think you brought up was one of my favorite aspects about the movie is the original song from Miley Cyrus in the film. I think that that's really beautiful as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just I was really floored by how much I liked this because I heard a lot of people say it was like really mid to bad. And I mean, like I'm not like crying that she or anyone else didn't get nominated, but I think like I would have nominated Pamela Anderson before I nominated Demi Moore. And it's so shocking to me that Demi Moore just seems to be like sweeping the nation and she's like a lock to win Best Actress, especially when the best performance of the year, not best female lead actress performance. I'm saying a best performance period of the year is Mikey Madison and Honora, and the fact that she is not going to win that award, it seems, is just laughable. I mean, I think that Demi Moore's performance is propped up a lot by the makeup that's going on in the movie and the
Yeah.
practical effects. And then I think a lot of her spotlight is taken away by Margaret Qualley. And like literally almost half of her screen time, she's that other girl. And so I don't know. I just think that I don't want to keep dissing on the substance. But I
No, I
just think
mean,
it's
I get it. I think it's the story more than it is like the full-on performance. Because I mean, Demi Moore was kind of like, honestly, I've never been a big fan of her until this movie,
me
truly.
neither.
Like, I thought this is one of her best performances for sure, but she was also very much, I mean, similar to Pamela Anderson's story, unfortunately, but I think Demi Moore's just kind of caught on more of like she's kind of just been like no one's fucking thought about Demi Moore in a long ass time. Like literally the last time anybody's thought about it is when everyone was trying to look up pictures of G.I. Jane when they made the whole G.I. Jane joke at the Oscars. And
Mhm.
before that was 20 years. So I mean, I think it's more that like it's one of those like lifetime achievement awards that's being disguised as a best actress award. And in that aspect, I mean, I do think that she was worthy enough to do a performance. And I mean, the award is, I do agree with you at the same time, too. Maggie Madison, I think, truly deserves it more. I think her, especially like the screen time comparing the two, she definitely like dominates a lot more time and a lot more. Her role calls for a lot more, especially when she's literally Demi's literally splitting the screen time a lot of the time, so I can fully understand that argument, but I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of people are going to be voting for her truly as like, oh, Demi's doing so good and it's so cool to see her finally come back after all these years. Like it's more of one of those things.
And that's fine. I mean, I just think it's really funny that Demi Moore comes out and was like, I've never been nominated for any kind of acting award before, so this is like crazy for me. And it's like, well, you kind of just said it yourself. Like you've never been nominated before. Hmm. I wonder
Yeah.
why, Demi. And I
With
think there's
that
one thing
being,
I was telling Zach. Zach said it's his like favorite movie of the year. You know Zach. And I
yeah.
think one thing that I was telling him about is I think the movie is kind of bulletproof. First of all, before I get to this point, I have immense respect for The Substance, and there's a reason why I graduated it. The Substance is not one of the movies we're covering in this episode, and we've brought it up pretty much every single movie. Like it's
I realized
so
that I'm seeing that.
impactful. You know what I mean? It has so much influence and it's so like dense and deep and there's so much to talk about. And for that, I really, really love it. It's a very provocative film. But the way that this movie makes me want to talk about the substance is I think that the movie has a perfect cop out because you can't really get annoyed with how obnoxiously obvious the theme of the movie is. You know what I mean? Because obviously the movie's like hitting you over the head with like women in Hollywood and they get cast out when they're old and they just want you for your body and once your body doesn't look good anymore then you're good they want to dispose of you in the trash and like they're really just hitting you over the head with it constantly, but you can't get mad at the movie for doing that because that's the point of the movie. The point of the movie is the excess, like that this is so like it happens so constantly and it is so obvious. And so by complaining about how annoying the movie is, you're just proving the movie right.
And I mean, truly, it's almost like a lot of years we have a theme, and that's why we kind of bring it back to all these different movies and bringing it back to The Last Showgirl. I mean, a lot of the same themes fall in that exact same way. It's like they're being aged out of their business, and what else are they gonna do? They have no other skill set, and it's very sad to think about because it kind of happens to everyone at a lot of times, like in a lot of different ways. Like people have to retire when they get too old and they almost feel useless in a lot of ways. And it's a very universal theme. But at the same time, like these movies try different ways to do it and bringing it back to The Last Showgirl. They kind of do it in a more, like I said, like a Sean Baker, more subdued way. Or like The Substance, it's going more for style. I mean, it's going more for style than substance, truly, in a lot of different ways. And where this one really is, it's really just trying to tell you this very sad point in this woman's life of like she didn't do the best with her daughter and she's kind of paying for that now and like she's seeing all of the ramifications of not necessarily evil actions but actions of her wanting to follow this dream that she's had since a very young age, and the cost of those dreams are truly sad at some points, and they come at a cost to others around you, sometimes more than yourself in a lot of ways, or they come to you later in life, I guess.
Yeah, I felt very sympathetic for the main character.
Yeah,
I just the entire time I'm like, why is your daughter being so mean to her? Like she's a single mom, right? That's just trying her fucking best. I'm sorry her job wasn't the most flashy thing. Like,
yeah.
that and I get it, she could have done something else, but like it's difficult. Like I feel like that sometimes. Like I love my job and I'm happy with where I'm at in life, but like at the same time I'm like, okay, well I could go, do something new and apply myself and like go for this different, better position. But like the idea of having to start over at a place you're already comfy, you already know what you're doing at the place that you're at, and you've already invested so much there that it's hard to get yourself out of a position and take a risk and go to another one. And, and I don't even have to support another human being. I mean, she has to do that. So while, do I think she's the best parent? No, obviously no. But I think that that doesn't come from a place of like ignorance and malevolence in her heart. I think that comes from a place
Yeah.
of she just doesn't have the means to adequately take care of a child.
Yeah, her ignorance in a way, I guess, wasn't necessarily a place of malice. Like she talked about leaving her in the car with a Game Boy and shit. Like, was that necessarily the right choice? No, but she also said, I mean, she didn't have a choice. She didn't have any money for a babysitter. What is she gonna do? It was kind of just like she was between a rock and a hard place, truly. So she just tried to make the decision that was the best in her head at the time. Necessarily wasn't the right call, and unfortunately, she paid for those actions. But it's just like you said, it's a truly just sad moment in this life that we're kind of following, and but at the same time, it's one of those like beautiful train wrecks that you can't look away from in a lot of ways. And I mean, especially the way it's shot, like the scene towards the end or whatever, where she's like standing on the roof or whatever, and you see her looking out over Las Vegas and everything, like.
Yeah.
It looks so incredible, but also at the same time, it's such a sad picture that you're seeing because it's literally going to be her last time that she's kind of on top of Hollywood in a lot of ways, or on top of Vegas.
Yeah. Taking it all in.
Hmm.
4 out of 5. Heart. I really like this. I'd
Same.
buy it on Blu-ray. I'd watch it again. I'll recommend it to people.
Absolutely. Echo all of that.
Another movie that I wanted to bring up. Oh, well, we got to do, well, before I get into like the 2025 stuff, let me see if there's any 2024 award season-y type stuff that we're missing here. Anything
Well,
off the
while you're
top of your
looking
head?
real quick, just to burn through another one real quick, because I know you probably, if you ever watch it, it won't be anytime soon. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, 3 night event that they had. It's part of the Pooniverse.
Oh, then I will. Ugh, gross. Ah, fuck.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the second Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey too because it kind of like makes fun of the first one in a lot of ways, but this one, unfortunately, kind of like feels more like the first Blood and Honey because like it kind of takes a more serious route. And I mean, you're especially gonna hate it because I mean, the first scene in the movie, it literally rips from Stephen King's It. Like 1,000,000%. Like he's like Peter Pan is like in like he like opens up like the floor. It's like a door in the floor, like to like a basement. And he's like talking to the kid and like is like singing to him and shit and like coaxing
Oh
him to the
my
whole it's
gosh.
like almost like beat for beat exactly the same.
Yeah, I
Like
will
they're
definitely
paying
watch
it's
it.
like a thing where like it's one thing to pay homage, but it's another thing to like quite literally just do the same fucking thing. Like that's the only thing where it was like I gave it a 3 out of 5. I still had fun watching it, and I think the ridiculousness of it like works in a lot of ways, but and I guess like not really spoilers because obviously nothing's come out yet, but the whole idea because like it's eventually going to like turn into like I think actually this year they're going to release a movie where like it's like a team up of like all of the bad guys teaming up against Peter Pan. Peter Pan's supposed to be like the Thanos of this universe, I guess.
Like what I mean, that
Yeah,
sounds awful.
it's so
I,
stupid, but I am in for it. Like that being said.
oh, I'm invested. I saw the first two. I guess I like the second one more. I don't know. And then this looks awful, and I'll probably be awful, and I'll endure it.
Tinkerbell's in it. She does heroin the whole time.
Yeah, I mean that's nice. I mean that helps a little
Peter Pan
bit.
tricks her into it and telling her that it's fairy dust, but she's literally using needles to shoot up.
That bastard.
But
Uh,
I mean, it's very goofy, but that being said, I think it's worth the time if you're interested at all in this stupid ass horror
hmm.
genre. It
Last
checks all
time
the boxes.
Last time we talked, did we go over like Sonic 3 and Craven and I think you
I
talked about
Yeah, I
those.
think so because it was literally the morning of I watched those, I think.
I'll speak to Craven a little bit. I just watched it recently. I actually had the chance to pirate it and watch it at home on my phone, and I was like, no,
Good.
this deserves a theater. And I watched it during a shift one day, and
Oh, you made the
so
wrong choice.
it's bad, okay? But let me defend it, okay? So it's not as bad as Morbius or even Madam Web. Excuse me. I give this a two out
I
of
agree
five,
with
and
one of
here's
those
why.
statements.
Well, okay. First of all, it's rated R, which that's our big complaint with all these movies, like Venom and all of them, and are like, well, it's a villain movie, make it rated R. Why can't we have that? I'm happy it's rated R. Now, that being said, that's completely performative. This movie does not feel like a rated R movie. It completely wastes the R rating. There's a lot of dads with their sons, 8 to 12, seeing this movie.
Yeah.
Fine.
And it seems like the exact audience. Honestly, like it's not going to hurt them at all because there's nothing in it that's truly that violent or scary whatsoever.
Yeah, it's stupid. And then also like I like that there's just an amalgamation of like, Spider-Man villains in this. Like I
Yeah.
love what they do with the Chameleon. I thought that was great. I thought the relationship with his brother was kind of the most compelling thing, and I hate that we mainly focused on his rivalry with the Rhino. Which by the way, the Rhino looks stupid, yes, but like
Ugh.
that's a fine interpretation. It's whatever.
The only thing that I hated the most is like there's an overhead shot during it that literally looked like a fucking PlayStation 2 game. Like some of the effects in this movie, I don't know if Sony like truly just gave up on them halfway through the filming or the editing or what it was, but some
Mhm.
of the effects in it, I'm like, this is a big budget movie, but it looked worse than that fucking Hellboy Crooked movie I talked about a few minutes ago.
Mhm.
But they had a quarter of the budget, if that.
Well, there's one word you said I would disagree with, which is the word some. I think this whole entire movie looks garbage. I think nothing about it looks good whatsoever. It's a disgusting movie visually. The performances are disgusting. Do you remember that scene where the rhino just has like a tism freak out? Like he just
Yeah.
goes "Ah!" to himself, and I'm like, what the fuck is
The
that?
the only scene that I can remember that like I kind of like that was like when Aaron Taylor-Joy was like I feel like he went into the office and like killed like a bunch of people, like basically like sending a message to like one of the big bad guys.
Mhm.
And I was like, that scene was cool. I was like, I wish we had more of those, but oh well.
Yeah, it was a little quippy. I don't know. To me, Craven, I probably told you this already. Craven is like this big, arrogant, loud, type of guy, and that just wasn't really this guy. This guy was like quiet
No,
and
that's what I'm hoping for with Lobo, especially now that they've cast it the right way. I don't know
hmm
much about Craven, but Lobo is such a cool, like badass, like sarcastic character, and having Jason Momoa be him, it's going to
hmm
be like, it's going to be what this movie should have been in a lot of ways, I think.
Well, it sounds a lot better than this. Yeah, 'cause I just hated it. I hated this movie. Well, I didn't hate it. I just strongly disliked it, and I threw it a bone because at least it was rated R, and at least there was more Spider-Man villains in it, and at least Craven like kind of looks like Craven. You know what I mean? Like way more than like Madam Web. Looks like
Yeah,
Madam
I would
Web.
say that those other two I would watch before I'd watch Craven purely because those ones, while being bad movies, have like things about them that are entertaining and like funny. This one has a lot less of that. Like it's
Yeah,
not really that funny or like entertaining. Like it kind of has a lot of parts where it's just boring.
that's true. That's true. This sucks. It sucks. But 2 out of 5. I'm gonna be a little nice to it too.
I think I
Um,
gave it a 2 out of 5 too. So I mean, we're on the same length there.
yeah. And then is there any other 2024 movies we wanted to catch up on real quick
Did
before we go into
you
the 2025?
did you say you watched Sonic 3?
Oh yeah, I watched that a while ago. So I definitely talked to you about it if we
Oh,
already
okay.
talked about it.
Sweet.
Um,
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I know it's really, really, really fun. The only 2024 movies that I would catch up on here for you. Some people count Perfect Days as 2024. It's not. It's 2023 for sure. But I just
Yeah,
watched Perfect Days on your Voodoo, and I
I
loved
still
it.
haven't.
That's my first time 5-star first time watch throwback watch, you know what I mean, of the year.
Nice. Yeah.
It's the vibe is amazing. I mean, you could just tell from the poster and the title exactly what you're getting yourself into. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I love what they do with this main character. I love the reason why they made this movie. It's wonderful. Yeah, just a total little slice of life, uplifting, hopeful little movie. And then one I would like to recommend. Oh, another one that's technically 2023, but is a 2024 movie. Perfect Days is definitely 2023. But Wicked Little Letters, that's on Netflix now. It stars Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley. It kind of is like a British version of like the Banshees of Inisherin. These two people, they're like neighbors and they don't like each other, and it's a problem for the whole town that they just don't like each other. And, Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley are two of the best actresses working today. And the stark contrasts in their two characters, and then their banter together is just so hilarious. I actually really, really, really found myself liking Wicked Little Letters. Hard Truths is one I actually caught in theaters because my buddy Joe really wanted me to watch it. That was actually really great. It's got the
Is
actress.
it
What?
that's the one with she's like a British black woman?
Yeah, Marianne Jean
Yeah.
Baptiste.
I saw the
Uh,
trailer for that a few times. It looks really cute. Like she made me laugh a few times in the trailer.
Oh, she's hilarious. I mean, for half of it, but like, yeah, every time she's like freaking out at everyone about everything, and just seeing the impact that she has on the people in her life, is crazy. And she's just such a tragic, sad, loathsome character at many times, and the performance is awesome. If she got nominated for Best Lead Actress, I would have loved that actually.
Oh yeah.
Um, Another one that's listed as 2023, but it was 2024. Lee, do you know Lee about the female, was it journalist in World War II, starring Kate Winslet? It
Mm.
was good. It's I don't know why I'm like, here, look at this. But yeah, Lee, it was like looked like Oscar bait, like girls get it done. Hey, we could be in the war too, and I have a job and I'm gonna do this thing. It's based on a real story. Her performance is really great. The movie I gave like a 3. It's fine, but it's worth watching it for her. It's interesting to see Andy Samberg have like a dramatic role in a movie. But it does feel very like Oscar baity, like please nominate me for Best
Hmm.
Lead Actress.
This movie's not on my radar whatsoever. Like I don't even know if I've heard of it.
I think it's on Paramount Plus, I want to say.
Hmm.
I don't even remember. It's good. It's good, but yeah. And then besides that for 2024, I think one that's listed as 2024, but it's 2025 is The Damned. I thought that was okay. I gave it 2 stars, but I was closer to a 3 than a 1.
Is that which one is that? Remind me.
I watched it in the middle of a shift one day. They're in the cold. It's The Damned. I
I
I
couldn't
never
tell
heard of
you.
it. I
Yeah,
just
I
saw that
don't.
it was playing and I had time and I was like, fuck it, I got time. And then
Interesting.
I rewatched Ricky Snicky. I really like Ricky Snicky.
I want to rewatch that too. My friend, my cousin showed me that when we were at work one day, and I loved it. I thought it was so hilarious.
Oh, and I do actually have one more 2024 movie that I would like to bring up. I watched The Descendants, Rise of Red. This is the 4th movie in the Descendants franchise, the Disney Channel original franchise. This is not directed by Kenny Ortega, which sucks, but you could definitely tell that there's like an updated genre of music. Like this one's definitely way more like hip hop infused, and you can tell in a lot of the like the dance, not only the music but the dancing, and a lot of the lingo is more modern and everything. And these are all fine. They're all 3 out of 5s. They're fine. I liked them. They're kind of bad, but they're the fact that it's a Disney Channel original movie, that it gets so much more leeway, and it's just like, yeah, it was a good little time, and the exact audience that it's meant for will have a good time, you
Yeah,
know?
my I've definitely seen like parts of it with my nieces over because she loves those movies. Don't think I've actually seen
Yeah.
any of them yet, but I probably will eventually because I like those Disney musicals. I mean, I'm a huge High School Musical guy, so. But speaking on that same wavelength, actually, it's a 2025 release, but it's kind of like a similar type of thing.
Mhm.
Henry Danger, the movie, came
Oh
out on
God, now I have
Paramount
to fucking
Plus.
watch that. Because I was looking for something to watch recently, and I saw that movie because I go on Letterboxd, I go stream 2025, and that was up there, and I was
Well,
like, oh, I'm not gonna
and
watch it, but now I gotta watch it.
I straight up didn't know jack shit about this show other than
Me
my niece loves
neither.
it. She said she like saw it when we were looking at something else. I think I was turning on Transformers 1 and they showed an ad for it because I was on Paramount Plus. And she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I just finished Henry Danger." And we were like, "Well, do you want to watch Henry Danger the movie then?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Fine, we'll watch Transformers 1 later." We didn't, but it's okay. We'll watch it next time. But that being said, this movie, while I knew nothing about any of these characters or anything, I didn't hate it. I thought it was fairly entertaining. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like 90 minutes and it was fun to watch. I mean, fucking Ariana Grande's brother like has his own moment in the movie where he's like singing a song and I was like, this is his wicked moment. We have to let him have this. But it was
Is this a
not great.
musical?
No, there's like one moment where there's a musical song in it, but other than that, that's it.
I'll watch it. I will watch it because
It's
I want to make my top
ridiculous.
10 list. I think I'm at like 6 movies on the
You're
year.
you're probably closer to the age group. Are you familiar with the show at all? It was on like
Never heard of
Nickelodeon
this.
or something.
No, no clue. Is it a superhero thing?
Yeah, it was on Nickelodeon for like 5 or 6 years in like the late 2010s.
Yeah, I probably stopped around the early 2010s, being
Yeah,
young and
it
stuff
was
like
like the
that.
same. I think it was technically like a Dan Schneider show when he was like still there, but like right on the cusp of him leaving, like after iCarly and all that kind of shit and Sam and Cat.
I'll watch it.
But
Like,
yeah,
I was just
that
like,
being
oh,
said,
with like
it's
all the
fine.
hatred in my heart, like I will watch it.
I gave it
Well,
a
because I
three
want to
and
make
a
a top 10 list, so I'll watch
I
it.
gave it 3.5. So I mean, I guess I liked it more than I thought. I'd probably bump it down to a three, but
Well, I tell you
like
what, I won't be at
honestly,
the
it
bottom
wasn't
of my
bad.
list because the bottom of my list for this year, like once I get to 10 movies, will be a movie called Back in Action. This is not Looney Tunes Back in Action. This is
It's
Cameron
yeah.
Diaz and Jamie Foxx Back in Action.
It's the movie
And
that when I saw it on Netflix the other day, I was like, "Is that doesn't look like a real movie? It looks like an advertisement for like a fake movie that you'd see in the background of a movie."
you couldn't have hit the nail on the head more. That being said, it is a literal advertisement. There are conversations in this movie like, "Oh, where did you get this little thing? Oh, I got it from Amazon Prime. Oh, what about this thing? Also Amazon Prime. That reminds me, we need to do a Costco run." Like everything in this movie is just like, "Hey Alexa, can you put this on my wish list next time I go shopping at Costco?"
Which probably means Amazon footed the bill for a lot of it.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's bad. All of it's ugly. It's very unfunny. It's like Spy Kids if it was stupid and focused on the parents.
I
I
must say,
hated every ounce of this movie.
I'll probably end up watching it purely just for numbers, but I'm not gonna like it. I already know that.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I hated this movie. It sucked. Um, Another movie from this year I'd like to talk about. I don't know. I just did Den of Thieves yesterday, not even for this conversation. I just did it like I had time during my shift, and I sat in on it, and I liked it. You liked it more than me.
I gave it a three.
Oh, I give it a 3. It's your type more than it's my type.
It is. I mean, that being said, like truly going into the day of, I watched the first Den of Thieves the morning before I went and saw Den of Thieves 2, truly thinking that it was going to be a refresher for me. And then once I started the movie, I realized I'd never saw this movie. I actually saw, I think it was Triple Nine or something like that, like a movie that had Gerard Butler in it, I think, like an action movie, but it has
Hmm.
nothing to do with Den of Thieves. So I actually had not seen it. But I think the first one is still better than the second one, but that being said, the second one is still like a fun movie. I
Hmm.
think they're entirely too long. They don't need to be 2.5 hours long, but I think they're fun. I like Ice Cube's son. I think he's actually a
O'Shea
pretty damn
Jackson.
good actor. Yeah.
Hmm.
Gerard Butler is who he is. He's always gonna be Gerard Butler. I've never been a Gerard Butler guy. Like 300 is not a favorite movie of mine.
I agree with everything you're saying.
So
I
yeah,
thought the
I
movie
mean,
was good. I don't know. It was fun. I thought it was like, why the fuck is it 2 hours and 24 minutes? I was like very okay with going to the bathroom at one point. I didn't give a
yeah,
shit about their fucking plan. I don't care what you're stealing and who you're stealing it for. All
I
I
don't
care
care about
about
the
is them
plan.
being
Just do it.
buddies.
Just do the plan. I don't care about setting it up for fucking 45 minutes, but this is what I literally wrote on my letterbox. I said, this is one of those sequels that doesn't necessarily copy the same beats as its predecessor, but it just feels like a new season of a show. Look, with these same two characters, then we're just following a new story with these same exact characters.
Yeah, and I like that they're buddies. Like, I didn't care at all. Like, I actually was like, oh fuck, I have to come out against this movie. But then like 30 minutes in, the good guy and the bad guy were now friends.
Hmm.
And just watching them scooter around and swim together, like all of that was like so much fun, and everything else was boring.
Truly those dynamics, I was like, if and I said it in my review too, I was like, if season three has Dom and the boys from Fast and Furious, I wouldn't be surprised because it just has that dynamic of like, oh, cops and villains can be friends, but the
Yeah,
cops aren't
same
always
movie.
friends with the villains. But like, and I feel like if Den of Thieves 2 happens, they could still be friends in the next one after O'Shea gets out of jail and shit like that. Like, it's just one of those franchises that I feel like could continue on. And it feels like, I mean, I don't know about box office for this one, but. I feel like it because it follows
It's
almost
doing
the
well.
exact same kind of shit that the first one does. People are going to enjoy it. It's one of those movies, like I say about a lot of Gerard Butler movies, that like it'll live on TNT and old dudes that are like 60 plus are gonna fucking eat this shit up and love it.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're exactly right. I thought it was good. I thought it was a
Yeah.
good movie. But like, I'm not gonna watch it again. I'm not gonna buy it on Blu-ray. I'm not gonna think about it again. But I remember vaguely having a good time, and this was yesterday. So,
Yeah.
another movie from this year I wanted to bring up is a movie I gave the same rating, but I like far more. Did you catch One of Them Days?
Mm-mm.
Keke Palmer is one of my like favorite actresses working
I
today.
know about it. Yes, I want to see it actually because I like a lot of those like silly comedies like that.
Well, I want to temper your expectations because it's got like a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes from both critics and audiences, and the box office is like doing amazing. Like I think it only dropped like 32% this weekend, which is amazing, especially for a movie like this. And I think it is a lot of fun. The theater I watched in had too good of a time. There were people in my screening. So when you go to these screenings, right, like there's a security guard that like
Yeah.
there's multiple security guards, but there's a security guard who gets in front of everyone and is like, hey,
Shut
you
up.
better,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, not even that. They don't even care about that, which they should. They come out and they're like, hey, you should not be on your phone. If you're on your phone, we're going to come up to you and we're going to throw you up and we're going to send your phone to California and we're going to fine you $10,000 and you're going to go to jail. And like all this, they make all these threats about your phone, right? And like I
Mhm.
said, multiple security guards. And I go to the screening and there's a guy in front of me directly in front of me, like right behind the handicap row at the front row of the back section, front and center, straight in the middle. And he's from the moment that the studio logos come up, he is on his phone. And pretty much he's on his phone more often than not. And there's times where he's just on his phone, like, oh, I just did a screenshot, stupid me. Like he's not even using his phone. It's just on. It's just he's like holding it in his hand like this, and it's just on.
No. Yeah, I would
And
have been like, hey, dude, fucking stop.
yeah, well, it's ridiculous, and like it's like he's using Instagram and Facebook, and he's texting, and like it's so obvious that he is on his phone the entire time. And then he goes to the bathroom, comes back, chums it up with the security guard. They're not stupid, okay? They know that he's on his phone, and so like I'm even more pissed now because like there's no point in me being like, "Hey, security guard, he's on his phone. Did you not see that?"
Your
Like
friend over there is on his phone
yeah, and then I see him ordering his Uber like to leave
during the
during the
movie.
climax of the movie. And then like at the end of the movie there's this like without spoiling anything just the format of the ending. A lot of movies end like this. They're
Yeah.
like here's a character and here's a little blurb Katie went on to open her own bakery, you know what I mean? Um like that's happening, and he gets up, and this dude is like built like a linebacker. This guy's like a truck of a man, and he could beat me up just by doing that to me. Like I respect to this guy. He looked like an athlete, and he's standing up. We're like, dude, no one can read the screen because you're in the front row and you're like built like Micah Parsons. So like, it was just
Was he like an actual
ridiculous.
critic or was
No, he was an influencer, and
Oh, yeah,
yeah, it
cool.
was just absolutely ridiculous. I hated the so, but yeah, that has nothing to do with the movie. There was a guy in the movie that was talking to everyone. Like, there's a scene where in the commercial they go to like a cash, like a quick cash place,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like, yeah, they're learning about how funny it is that how bad the interest rates are and whatnot and everything. And some guy towards the back, he just yells out, he's like, you guys need to pay attention to this. And it's like, yeah, what do you think we're fucking doing here, guy? Like, that's the entire point is we're watching the fucking movie. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting mad, but it's just crazy that you go to these screenings and it's like all this importance is put on like, hey, security and be respectful to other people and, don't take your phone out and don't be disruptive. And it's just, they are the worst behaved screenings I've ever been to in my entire life. And I truly like hate going to them sometimes, but it is such a privilege to go and I have to. I can't not go.
Yeah.
But it's a very funny movie. The script sucks, but Kiki Palmer just, having the most personality in the world. SZA does a fine job, but Kiki Palmer's driving the bus, let's be clear. Cat Williams has a very funny little bit in the movie. It's very good. It's a very funny, good time buddy comedy type thing. I think you'll eat it up.
I think so too. Like it's definitely up my alley of everything and like I don't know a whole lot about SZA, but I love Keke Palmer a lot, so I know I'm gonna enjoy that and yeah, I like these goofy comedies. They just make me happy. I like smiling.
Yeah, I'm at a 3 out of 5, way closer to a 4 than a 2. So it's very, very positive. Make more of these.
Hell
But
yeah.
I want to hear what you thought of Wolfman. This is actually one we're going
Oh
to get into.
yes. So Wolfman.
Yep.
I think I needed to temper my expectations a bit going into that one because I love Lee Wanell, but this is his worst movie. Still a 3 out of 5, but I was really hoping that it was going to be one of my new favorite movies, and it was more man than wolf, I think is what the biggest thing was for me. There was so like I mean the effects in it, awesome. A lot of that stuff looked cool, other than the wolf vision that looked not good. It looked like worse than Predator vision from the 80s. But other than that, I think the movie is cool. I do think the story is like a lot of the other things we've talked about today, very paint by numbers, exactly how you would think is going to play out. And honestly, like nobody really wowed me in the cast at all. Christopher Abbott's probably not, like he's fine, but I think I would have liked it more if Ryan Gosling would have actually played the Wolfman. I don't know. It's just like I would like to watch it again because it wasn't the movie I was expecting whatsoever. I was expecting like a more of a horror movie, and this was like a family drama.
So that's what I was expecting. Going into it as a family drama, and that's what I like about it. I'll be Mr. Sunshine here, okay? I said this in my like recorded review. I am going to like this more than everyone else. I'm probably going to give it 1 star more than it deserves, which I'm at a 4. It's more of a 3, and I think most people will be 1 star lower than it should be, which most people that I know are at like a 2. I think it's a fine adaptation. I think that on Vudu or Fandango at home, they had a sale recently of the Wolfman movies. Now, fun fact, I watched the Wolfman on your Vudu.
Yeah, I have the
But
4K of it actually over there.
but yeah, there's 6 of these, and then like this doesn't even include the Benicio del Toro one, the
Hmm.
Wolfman from like 2010 or whatever. Like these are just the old ones. It's like so there's so many iterations of this character, so many retellings. So I appreciated how boldly different this one was. I was invested in the characters. I liked the family dynamic. I liked the relationship between the dad and his daughter. I didn't think the daughter was shit, which kids usually are, especially in these types of movies. I really appreciated the cinematography of it. I love the
Yeah,
whole like they're in the tower and you just see the breath
I
coming up.
think yeah, I think the weakest thing in this movie is the writing. And that's this crazy thing to say about Lee Winnell because I love his writing most of the time, but like The fucking random character of the neighbor's son just being there. None of that needed to be there. He just made everything very creepy and uncomfortable for a few minutes, and then he died. It was just like there's certain things like that where I'm like, we cut this out of the movie and it makes it shorter. Just simple things like that that just felt like. And he had a co-writer on this, and I want to blame the co-writer more than I want to blame Lee Winnell.
So it's really funny that you group those two things together because I can explain exactly why you felt that way. Number one, the guy that you had said is an excess guy, that's Lee Winnell's good friend. He's also plays the villain in Upgrade, and like
Oh,
the
I
like
forgot
not
about
not the
that.
main villain, but
Yeah,
like the guy who's coming after him, and he also shows up in The Invisible Man. So this is clear, and he's not really in much else. So this is clearly a guy that Lee Winnell just likes.
yeah,
So that's probably why he might be there if he's not necessarily supposed to be there. And then the co-writer is named Corbett Beck, I think,
yeah.
something like that. Um, do you know who Lee Winnell is married to?
No.
Corbett Beck. So what I think happened is I think that she went and watched *Malignant*, a movie directed by
Yeah.
James Wan, but was
Written by his
written by
wife.
his wife, and
Yeah.
he was like, honey, why don't we do that? We could totally do that. Let's do that together. And so The Invisible Man does really well, and it's amazing. And I rewatched it recently, and it is amazing. It holds up to
Yeah.
me. I love it. I'm way higher on
Me
that than
too.
you are.
I truly love it.
Oh yeah, like I could go on about how brilliant that is, but they succeeded there, so they're like, oh, we'll give you another one. And I feel like this is the other one is like this is a one for the studio kind of a thing, the Wolfman. And so for him, he's like, let me get a paycheck, let me make a movie for no money. It's gonna make money at the box office, and then the studio will let me make whatever I want, and the studio's gonna throw me a bone. They're gonna let me write it with my wife, and that'll be a fun, cool thing. And what's the movie about? It's about domestic problems. You know what I mean? Like a wife being upset about her husband's anger and where that anger comes from. And so I think this is a way more personal of a movie for Lee Winnell and his family and friends than a
Yeah.
lot of us suspect.
Well, in that part of it, like the actual like husband and wife dynamic part of the story and everything, those parts are actually very well done. But it's like not what it's just not the movie I was wanting from this. Like I was
And
wanting
that's
like
fine.
Lee Winnell horror, and I think that's why I'm lower on it. Like I think on a rewatch, now that I know what the movie is and what the intention is, I think on a rewatch I could totally feel a completely different way. Whether that means I like it more or dislike it more, I don't know, but. I think it's going to be a movie that I rewatch a couple times and probably feel completely different about, which honestly is the cool thing about art in a lot of ways. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I'm at a three right now, but like I said, that could very well change. And I think my expectations were just completely different from what Lee was planning on delivering.
I just love their interpretation of the Wolfman. Like you said, the effects were awesome. They were
Yeah,
really cool. It looks ugly,
yeah.
sure, but yeah, and it
The
looks
when
different,
he's
distinct.
seeing through the wolf's eyes, that's the part that looks like shit. When it's like the wolf vision, that's the part where I was just like, what are we doing here?
I like it. I really like that aspect. I also really like the scene with the spider and how he like showcased how his hearing is changing. I
Yeah.
also really like how he can't understand English anymore and how we
Yeah, that part was cool.
I'm really into all of it. I really like this movie. I get it. I'm a biased fanboy, stan of Lee Winnell. But this is I feel very similarly to this movie as I did about The Watchers from last year, where it's like, oh, I'm just attached to the filmmakers and I care
Yeah.
about this more than everyone else does, and I like it more than everyone else does.
Yeah, I think that was just I was the same way, but in a different way. Because like I'm a huge fan of Lee Winnell, but I was just expecting like him to go like more horror, especially with this. Because like Invisible Man, he kind of did the similar thing of like it's more of like a domestic violence thriller in a way. Like it didn't go straight horror, but it definitely had more like horror elements in certain ways. But with this one, I don't know. But like you
I will
said, like
say
it
it's very
was
predictable. Like I knew the whole entire movie
yeah.
like right when it started.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, even with everything from what it sets up from the beginning with his dad and everything, like I knew that everything was going to come back into play. Like, and I
Hmm.
mean, in that way, I think it's cool. And like I said, I think on a rewatch, I could feel a completely different way, and I'm curious to do so, but I'm not really like yearning to rewatch it right away, if you know what I'm saying.
Me neither. I'll buy it on Blu-ray though.
Yeah, I'd like to get a full 4K out of it for sure. Cool steelbook.
um, Another one I wanted to bring up to 2025. I watched Flight Risk. You're gonna watch Flight Risk. That's something you
Oh
would
yeah, the
watch.
Wahlberg one. I'm very curious because that just Mark Wahlberg as a villain is something I've been wanting for a long time.
Yes, that's the most interesting thing about this movie.
100%.
Or it should be. I won't go into like why I didn't like about it. I went into it wanting to have this be like an awful, like so bad that it's great experience, and it ended up just being, excuse me, boring. That was boring and didn't take advantage of the opportunities that it had. I thought it uh, was going to be creepy in a fun, silly way, but it was creepy
That's
in like an uncomfortable, like sexual way that I was
oh.
very off-putting. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much in detail. I think you should watch it if you want. I'm way lower on than most people, but I'm at a 1 out of 5. Fuck
I
that
will say
movie.
I was hoping it was the other like what you said. I was hoping it was going to be ridiculous and fun and not ridiculous and gross and stupid. But it sounds like it's the latter, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, the effects are terrible. The performances are terrible. The writing's terrible. Mel Gibson's an asshole. I fucking hate him. I
Keep
also
forgetting that
watched
he's
On
even
the
involved in
Line.
movies.
Yeah, he did On the Line 3 years ago. I just did that on Netflix. None of my mutuals have it logged. That sucked, and it was kind of a fuck you movie, in like an annoying way. And yeah, Mel Gibson's a piece of shit.
He was on Joe Rogan
So
the other day. His house burnt down. That's cool.
yeah, no, yeah. So some good things are happening in the world. I'm kidding. He's whatever. He's a human being, and he can do whatever he wants. But yeah, no, that's all the 2025 movies I really wanted to bring up. Unless you had anything else.
Nah, right now I'm looking at some of the Oscar nominations if we want to roll through those real quick, because I think we went through every movie that I had written down. Cursed with Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson, a movie that came out in 2005. I watched that on Paramount Plus. Pretty damn cool. The
Hmm.
effects are obviously 2005 coded, but other than that, I think it's a really fun movie, and it has like werewolf transformation stuff and a young Jesse Eisenberg before he became anybody, so some cool stuff in there. But
I'll be checking
yeah.
that one out. I'm on the Oscars website going through. Like it starts with actor in a leading role. Is that the same site you're on? Because
No,
we
but I
want to
can
be
do
on the
that.
same site
Yeah.
just so we can be going to
I had the
these.
Hollywood Reporter open, but I will go, the Academy is right there.
That was the second link on Google
Yeah.
search.
The second one for me is the Oscars.
Oh
Actor
wow.
in a leading role. Got it.
Okay, so we'll kind of like because we've been for a while, so we'll kind of go through these. Um, Actor in a leading role. How are we feeling about this category? Any surprises? Who do you want to win? Who do you predict will win?
So, right now, two of them I'm still yet to see. Haven't seen Sing Sing yet, haven't seen Conclave. Of the three that I've seen, I honestly love all three of them, and I like them for different reasons. But my personal pick at the moment, I think I would give it to Timothy Chalamet.
That's my prediction. Especially with him going on the, SNL and like, the fact that A Complete Unknown got so many nominations,
Yeah.
including director, which is disgusting. But like he did the voice, he did the own singing, the look was good, and I think they'll give it to him. And that's also coming from a place of I don't want them to give it to Adrian Brody. But out of this list, I think I would vote Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice was my second favorite male lead of the
Yeah.
year, so I would go with that. And then closely followed because I think my third was Coleman Domingo and Sing Sing.
I was about to say, if I've seen Sing Sing, I would probably vote Coleman Domingo. I've seen Coleman Domingo on a lot of things. I personally really loved him in that movie last year. That was the Netflix one. I forget what was it
Oh,
called.
Rustin, they sent me a
I
lot of
loved him in
stuff.
Rustin. I loved him. He was in Fear the Walking Dead is the first thing I ever personally saw him in, and I loved him in that show. Just his character and the way he, just his acting and everything. He's just such a damn good actor that like I'm happy to see him at least nominated. If he won it, I would be so thrilled for him. But I still need
Mhm.
to see Sing Sing. It hasn't released anywhere around me that I've seen yet, but I'm really hoping to see it soon.
So you want Tim Cham, but you think it will be who?
I think it's going to be a close race between him and Adrian Brody, but I'd probably give the edge to Brody at the moment just because I feel like that movie's on a hot streak. And I feel like
I
it
agree.
feels like it's the movie this year that feels a lot like Oppenheimer. And I feel like, especially with the older dogs still being around, that it feels like Adrian Brody could kind of take the edge just a tad bit from Timothy because they're going to be like, I feel like it could be like the same kind of way they fucking left out Leonardo for so long. It's like, oh, he's young. He'll have a chance later, blah, blah, blah.
Also, Adrian Brody's won an Oscar before, so it's like
Yeah,
so lame if they give it to him again. Is he really deserve to be in the annals of history as like one of the guys with multiple Oscars? Like, I don't know. He's good, but like I think it would be more sexy to give Timothy Chalamet his time in the sun.
I agree.
And then Sebastian Stan would never win, but the speech he would make and the
Yeah.
tweet that I would have to read from Donald Trump, live tweeting the show would be immaculate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope I don't know if are they nominated for a lot of other stuff because I hope someone wins just to be able to talk about it. I see Jeremy Strong is nominated for the next thing, and that's cool, but I also like spoiler, I don't think he's even has a chance in hell in this category, even though I think he was phenomenal.
I agree. I would like him in this category. But yeah, and the supporting actor. Okay, who do you want and who do you think?
We'll just roll through them real quick too. Yura Barazov for Honora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, Brutalist, Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice. I like a lot of these. My personal favorite that I would hope to win would be Kieran Culkin, just because I really liked that role a lot and it made me cry. But I think Euro would be awesome for Honora, just because I didn't even honestly expect him to be here. I think that's awesome that he's even on this list. But Guy Pearce, I think, could be a really good favorite. I don't really think Edward Norton. I don't really think he even deserves to be on this list, truly. Like, I think the role was fine, but I don't think it was anything that phenomenal.
Hmm. I will say this about Edward Norton. I think the one scene that really stood out to me for him, not only the scene where he's talking about like, oh, we're all here with our little toothpicks and you're coming with a shovel.
Yeah.
I love that, but also I love the scene where he's at court and you're like, what is he at court for? I don't really know. I don't know anything about Bob Dylan or any of this movie or anything. I went in completely blind. And they're like, oh, your song is so offensive and it's like they reveal the song is like, this land is your land.
Yeah.
It's like the most happy, optimistic, like inclusive, community-filled song in the world, like defining of this country. So it's crazy to see how back then it was like, defined as this like risque, controversial political statement. Um, I think Kieran Culkin will win, even though I don't think that's a supporting actor performance at all. It's definitely a lead, but whatever. And I'm I'm gonna go double apprentice. I want Jeremy Strong to win. I mean, I think that whole movie is about how Trump got his ideologies, and that movie's about him giving it to him,
Yeah,
and
I
or
would
Yura
love
Borisov,
Jeremy
he's good too.
Strong. I would love Jeremy Strong, but I just have a feeling in my head that it's going to be Guy Pearce. I would love Kieran Culkin, and I do think you kind of have an argument, especially for lead, but I think he's really good in that role regardless.
So wait, so you want Kieran Culkin,
I
but you
want
think Guy
Kieran, but
Pearce?
I think it's going to be Guy Pearce. That's my gut feeling.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, I hope we keep having different things that we think, because then we can go back to this after the Oscars
Yeah,
and
I
see
want to
who
write
was
all these
right.
down later. All right.
Actress in the lead role. You did the last one, so I'll do this one. We have
Go
Cynthia
ahead.
Erivo
Yeah.
in Wicked, Carlos Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison for Nora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. What do you think and what do you want?
So, full transparency, have not seen I'm Still Here yet. So, Can't speak to Fernanda, unfortunately, but of the
Fun
ones
fact,
I've
I was the
seen,
only person in CACF who voted for Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. I know that because she got 4 votes or 4 points, and your second place vote gets 4 points, and I voted her second, and
damn.
she ended up getting nominated, and I'm like, yeah, get fucked, like. But yeah, she's great. She's great. It's one of those where like it's kind of like Till. Like you just see a woman who's just fucking pushed to the brink of tragedy, and she how she fights through it.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, right now, I mean, I haven't seen hers, but everyone on this list I think is really great. I'm very, like, as controversial as Amelia Perez is right now, I think that nomination is completely worthy.
Mhm.
I honestly like Cynthia Erivo is fantastic too, but the two that really fight it out for me at the moment are Mikey Madison and Demi Moore. I would love to see Mikey get the win, but my gut is saying obviously it's Demi Moore.
So you want Mikey, you think Demi.
Correct.
I want Mikey. I mean, I think, like I said, it's best performance of the year, period. I would be happy with Fernanda Torres. Cynthia Erivo would suck, not because she's not good in it, just because like that's so boring. And then Demi Moore would also suck. I think that would suck the most for me personally. Now that being said, if Carlos Sofia Gascon wins this Oscar, that would be beautiful.
It
Oh my
would
God.
be.
Imagine the speech. Could you imagine? Oh, and then imagine Trump's tweet being like, "What's that man doing on stage? I thought
Well,
it was
that
Best
and I
Actress."
I feel like the social media meltdown because like the movie already is like
Yeah.
embroiled in so much. It's like if she actually won, I feel like people would just be like, "Oh my God, the Oscars are fucking being performative and blah blah blah." And it's like,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of people that are being so critical of this movie have not seen it, and I feel like a lot of people that actually watch it, I feel like would be a bit more like some of it. I do feel like it's not. Some of it's. Yeah, I can definitely agree with some of like it's not handled in like the easiest way, I guess, but the story is also just such a controversial and like hard story to tell that like no perfect person is gonna tell this story.
Oh, well, dude, they don't need to watch the movie because they watch the little clip where the Asian doctor goes from penis to vagina,
Yeah,
and they know everything they need to know now. Oh, what a laughable, stupid movie. Yeah, because they're all children. Okay, let me just address the Amelia Perez controversy here. So I clearly really like the movie, right?
me too.
I don't think it should win Best Picture. I didn't. It's not in my top 10. It's not in my top 20, 25, 30. It's not anywhere near.
I actually think it
But
might be in like top 20.
I support you. I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a very provocative film. And I think it is absolutely hilarious, unprecedentedly hilarious that a movie about trans Mexicans is directed by a straight French guy and it has very little like Mexican people in the cast. Like it's so funny because everyone has just come together to like hate this movie and somewhat justified, I think. And it's just succeeding in everyone's faces. Won 3 Golden Globes. It has the most nominations for any foreign film in Oscar history. I hope it wins every single award it's nominated for. And if I had to pick one, I mean, I think Best Picture would be the coolest. But Carlos Sofia Gascon winning Best Picture would be absolutely historic and would piss everyone off and it would piss the right people off. And I'd pay money to watch that.
Especially in this year of 2025 when that motherfucker won the election. I think just seeing all the outrage would just make me feel just a little bit better.
Yeah, and like exactly, it would just be amazing. So I still want Mikey Madison to win. It'll be a travesty if she doesn't. But I think Mikey Madison, and I want Mikey Madison.
I hope you're
Hmm.
right.
Uh,
Actress in a supporting role is our next one. And we go to Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown. We got Ariana Grande in Wicked. We have Felicity Jones in The Brutalist. We have Isabella Rossellini in Conclave. And then we have Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez.
when you were saying the first name from A Complete Unknown, Monica, I thought you reminded me of the elephant from the
Yeah,
book.
Babar.
Um, yeah, good for her for being nominated. What a left field thing.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked about. Well, I don't think Isabella Rossellini has much of a chance, or Felicity Jones, or Monica Barbaro. I think Zoe Saldana, and for the same reason I said before, I want Zoe Saldana. I think she's due. She's, Avatar. I think she should have won for Neytiri back in 2009. She's in all the huge franchises. She's, paid her dues. Her performance here is so good. This is kind of a Kieran Culkin situation where I feel like she is the lead. I mean, I know the movie's called Amelia Perez, but we're following Zoe Saldana's character.
Yeah.
And, just the dancing, the singing, the dramatic weight, she's funny in the movie too. Like, I would like
No,
her.
yeah,
So I
she
think her and I want her.
I'm also on the want Zoe Saldana. I think she was fantastic in the movie. She had me laughing. She has moments of drama. Her character is very, very interesting. Because like although the movie is called Amelia Perez, I'd almost say she's almost more of the lead actress in a lot of spots of it because she just kind of steals the show in a lot of ways. So I would vote her, but also my gut is telling me that Ariana Grande might win for Wicked.
And I'd be fine with that. I think she steals the show. I just think it would be a
I do
little
too.
bit too much like giving in so easily.
I
Like
I
she does
think
one fucking movie and we give her an Oscar.
Well, truly, I just feel like if anybody, like I know they want to give Wicked something. I know they're gonna want to, and I feel like that one's probably the easiest one to give it to.
I agree. I think that's a great pick.
Yeah,
Animated feature film. We have Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, and The Wild Robot. I
still behind on
think
two of those.
you have
I have
not
not seen
seen.
Flo or Wallace and Gromit yet.
I was gonna guess that right. My favorite animated movie of the year is not on this list, Transformers 1. But I
It's a
called
great
that half
movie.
a year ago that it wouldn't be here. My
Yeah,
number two favorite animated movie of the year is not on this list. Have you heard of Look Back, a Japanese animated?
I have seen the poster. I have not seen it personally.
Very short, under an hour. Very cute. You're someone who likes art and making art, and so I think you would relate with the movie a lot. And beautiful film, takes really big swings. Second favorite movie of the year. The two movies on here that I didn't vote for, when we have 5 votes when we vote. I did not vote for Inside Out 2, and I did not vote for The Wild Robot. And I think that those have a very good chance of winning. But final answer, I want Memoir of a Snail, and I think Blow.
You know what? I am actually agreeing with you 100%. But to be more fun, I'm going to say that I want Memoir of a Snail, and I think Wild Robot. I'm going to be the pessimist. I really enjoyed Wild Robot a lot, actually. I liked Inside Out 2 a lot too, but I have a feeling that Flow could probably win, and I know I'll love that movie once I see it, especially with it being one of those movies with like the no dialogue type of shit. I'm a
Mhm.
sucker for a lot of those, but I really loved the Wild Robot as well. So I wouldn't be mad if it won, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if it won either. But I would die if Memoir of a Snail won because that truly was one of my favorite animated movies, not only of this year, but probably of the last like 5, 10 years maybe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't want Inside Out to win for sure. That would be the worst scenario. But I also don't want Wallace and Gromit to win because I was really burned last year when Spider-Verse 2 didn't win. So having Wallace and Gromit win back to back because it won back in '05 or whatever, that would kind of sting a bit. So like Flow is just so inoffensive. And that movie, like every frame is like a painting like you would put on your
Yeah.
wall. So and
I
it's
know I'd
so
love Wallace and
indie.
Gromit. I haven't watched it yet. I was watching some of the old cartoons the other day.
Yeah, I saw that. I like Wallace and Gromit more than I like Flow, but I think Flow just sounds like,
I feel like
what
it's
they would get up
popping
to.
up a lot more lately with on people's lists of like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite movies of the year type deal. So that's why I feel like it could definitely sneak in there.
Mhm. I haven't watched any of the animated short films.
Nope.
So yeah, you want to go ahead with cinematography?
Cinematography, we got The Brutalist with, is it Lol Crawley?
LOL.
LOL. Dune Part Two with Greg Fraser, Amelia Perez with Paul Goldheim, Maria with Ed Lockman, and Nosferatu with Yaren Blaschke. Is how I'm guessing that's some German shit right there.
It's crazy. We haven't been saying most of the names besides the actors, and this one you were like, "I'm gonna go for it," and it was
Yeah.
just five of the most confusing names.
Definitely all
Um,
European or Spanish of some sort.
I would go. I want Nosferatu to win, but I
Yes,
think the Brutalist will win.
I agree on both fronts.
I would
But
like Dune Part Two to win as well.
honestly, I've not seen Maria, so I don't know about that one at all.
You don't need to.
Honestly, I would like Amelia Perez to sneak in there too, truly. I think that
Hmm.
movie was shot very well.
No, I agree. I agree. And that winning anything would be brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
Costume design is a complete unknown. Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I would give this one to so gross. I guess give me a complete unknown. That's what I would go with. That's such a lame answer though. What do you Oh, and uh I want a complete unknown. That sucks. What do you
No,
inspire me?
I would want Nosferatu, but I think
Yeah, but they're just wearing
also
old-timey clothes. You know what I mean?
like I wouldn't be mad if Wicked got it either, because those are some fun costumes. But I do feel like it's been
Sure.
done before.
Yeah, actually, I
Same with
take it
like
back. I
Gladiator
want a
2.
complete unknown. I think Wicked will win this one.
Like Gladiator 2, I would give it more not for costume design, but for like actual like set design.
Hmm.
I think the costume is more for Wicked though.
Yeah, I think Gladiator 2 should just be happy it's invited to this show.
Truly.
Um, it's good, but
Directing.
yeah, you're up.
Honora Sean Baker, Brutalist Brady Colbert, Complete Unknown, Mr. Mangold, Amelia Perez, Jacques Audier,
Yeah,
and The
that was actually pretty good.
Substance, Corley Fargate.
Um, I think that Brady Corbett is going to win the award. I just think
Yeah.
that The Brutalist has a good chance of winning Best Picture, and Best
In a
Picture usually wins
perfect
Best
world,
Director.
Sean Baker would get it, but yeah.
Yeah, I want Sean Baker to win. No, actually, I take it back. I want
Jacques.
Jacques Audiard to win this award. Did
If
you hear what
Jacques
he
won, I'd
said?
be no.
He came out and people were like, what do you think about the controversy about the film?" And he was like, "Oh, the point of a movie isn't to answer questions, it's to ask them." And it's like, "Fuck you, that's the most bulletproof answer in the world."
Yeah.
I
I
love
would
him.
I would be so happy if Jacques won, but yeah, truly I would love it if Sean Baker won it. Brady Corbett just seems like the safest bet.
Wait a minute, though.
Mangold,
There must be a mistake with this list. Because I don't see Denis Villeneuve here, and that's ridiculous. Obviously, Denis
the
Villeneuve is
man
nominated, right?
the man will never get the flowers that he truly deserves.
Isn't that fucking pathetic? I
It's so
loved him.
sad.
Oh my
He
God.
does so much and he makes such incredible movies and like especially the Academy just fucking hates it.
It's weird because he's already up there. I was saying to someone the other day, I think he already is competitive with Tarantino for like all time, who's one of the better directors.
100%. Him, Tarantino, Nolan, like all those guys, and he's right in there with them, truly.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing. And James Mangold being nominated is embarrassing. He did a
I
good
like
job,
James
but
Mangold a
like,
lot as a person, and I like him as a director, but yeah, I don't think this movie like truly is like overly great. Like Timothy's great, but the movie itself is just like a
mhm.
biopic, and he's honestly, I think Walk the Line's a better biopic in some ways.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like James Mangold. He's made a lot of good movies, and I really enjoy eating vanilla ice cream with no toppings and bread, just plain bread on its own, slices of bread. No, I don't want him to win anything. I hate, I don't hate him, but I don't want him to win anything. Did you watch any of the documentaries?
No, and I'm kind of, but the one documentary I did watch that I thought was going to be nominated was the BB Files or whatever, the one about
Hmm.
Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah, I'm very sad that that's not on this list because I thought it would be a lock, and I thought it would be a really good speech to talk about with the ongoing war and everything. So Very sad about that, but no, none of these documentaries are. I might try
Documentary
to watch
short.
some of them. Yeah, documentary shorts I have not seen yet either. They're actually like I have a local theater actually that's literally like I look to my right and it's like a few blocks over that way and they're gonna show I think the documentary shorts one night, so I might go over there and watch those if I get a chance.
Yeah, I never get into these.
Neither do I, but it's just because it's such a literally right down the road that I might try.
Convenient. For film editing, we have Nora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. For this, I desperately want, again, Amelia Perez, and I wanted to win everything. I think the Wicked winning would be fine. That was one thing where I was like, this is like 3 hours, but it flew by.
Yes,
If the
yeah.
if the Brutalist wins Best Editing, I'll shoot myself. What are we talking about? And then Nora is good
You're
too.
you're gonna hate me because I truly said to myself yesterday, I was like, I really like the editing in this movie. I was like the way they're like literally like the way they were cutting like between scenes and stuff. I was like, some of this shit is actually pretty crispy. But that being said, it's not like my absolute favorite of these. I truly like Amelia Perez's editing is actually really fucking good, especially in like the different musical scenes and stuff. But I would truly give the edge to Honora at this point. Like I think Wicked might sneak in there and win it, but I think Honora's editing might be the best of all of these. I haven't seen
I
Conclave, obviously, so I can't speak to that, but
I want Amelia Perez. I think the Brutalist is going to win. I think it's going to clean up.
yeah, the Brutalist I think makes a lot of sense too with the way it cuts back and forth through different scenes to like straight up drama to like different stills and everything. Like it's very impactful with the way it's cut.
Mhm. Did you want to do international?
That just, I mean, it's crazy that some of these, like, I was not expecting them to be nominated for this. Like, I haven't heard of some of them, but like, is Flow the same animated one that's nominated? That's very interesting. Amelia Perez being a French movie just doesn't feel right to me whatsoever.
That's the problem that people have.
And
I
yeah,
haven't seen The
I'm
Seat of the
still here.
Sacred Fig
Obviously,
or
I
The
haven't
Girl
seen
in the
that.
Needle, but I know that those are good.
Yeah. So of
Um,
these that you've seen, obviously, because I've only seen Amelia Perez, but what do you think is the winner here of the ones you've
um,
seen?
I think I'll be a happy camper because I think the movie I want and the movie that I think will be this is our safest bet to for me to get my politically charged speech. But Amelia Perez, win international film, you know,
You don't
why
think it's
not?
I'm Still Here, the one that you nominated the actress for?
No, I think that Amelia Perez got 13 nominations, and these days when there's only one Best Picture nominee that's nominated for international feature, that's usually the one that's going to win. So
I would
this
love
one's
that.
kind of easy for me.
Just real quick though, can you tell me anything? I don't know anything about I'm Still Here. Like it's playing in the theater that I have, but I chose to watch other stuff because I don't know anything about it.
So it's your regular like family. I think the dad's like a retired senator, and but there's political strife and turmoil going on in the country, and there's a military occupation going on. And then one day the military shows up to their house and is like, "Hey, we need to bring like the dad, the mom, and then like one of the older daughters to somewhere." And it's like really creepy and weird that this is all happening and dangerous and scary. And they hold the mom. We're watching this through the eyes of the mom and they hold her there for like I think it's 2 to 3 weeks. And they hold the daughter for like a week, and then when the mom gets home, she's how do I address this with my family? What do I do? My husband's still not out. What do I do about him? And yeah, she's still here and he's not. And I don't want to spoil more of it. I mean, it's history, but you probably aren't too aware of that. I mean, I wasn't. You know what I mean? So.
No.
But yeah, it's really hard to watch her not only miss her husband, but actively try to get him back and to hand just the way that she handles her family through this whole scenario is like so tragic and impactful. I really like I'm Still Here. If it wins, I'll be fine, but it's gonna be Amelia Perez, I think.
Gotcha.
Um, so wait, just I know you haven't seen them all, but do you have a want and think?
I hope Amelia Perez gets it because obviously like, we're both big fans of it, and I feel like truly, if it gets anything, that seems like it'd be the layup.
So that's want and think for you, like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh. Makeup and hairstyling. We have a different man. Hmm. Amelia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. I think that I want a different man to win because that's kind of like what the movie's about in a lot of ways. But I think that they're going to give this one, oh, to The Substance, and it should.
That's exactly what I was thinking should substance, but if a different man snuck in there and grabbed it, I would be very happy.
Yeah, I don't think Amelia Perez has any business being here. I think Nosferatu is a cool pick. Wicked, if that wins, that would be so funny.
Yeah.
And she's
She's
green.
green. They had to do so much with that.
Yeah, and then but yeah, the substance, like that's the coolest thing about the movie is the practical effects and the makeup and hairstyling. So that.
And for music with the original score, we got The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot.
I think it's
Um,
embarrassing that Wild Robot's nominated.
I couldn't
Um,
tell you anything about the music in that movie.
yeah, no, I mean it's not as bad as the original song being nominated, which is like even more embarrassing. But yeah, no, I think Amelia Perez. I want and think Amelia Perez.
I'm gonna go with Wicked on this one.
Yeah, that's adapted, so that's part of the problem for me.
That's true. I don't know how much of it's original. Like the score part of it might be a little bit less adapted. I don't know about that, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think The Brutalist has a chance.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. I was like, The Brutalist is good. Emilia Perez is good. Yeah, I don't have too big of an opinion on that one because I don't really, none of these scores really jump out to me right away. Like I feel like there's other scores this year that I liked more, but
Oh, do you want to know why none of these stand out to you? Because far and away, the best score of the year is not nominated, and that was Challengers.
yeah, by a mile actually. That was actually my favorite of the year by a lot.
Yeah. So you wait for thinking one, you think Wicked,
Yeah.
but you want
Actually, I would say I want Wicked, and I think it's probably gonna go to The Brutalist, just because I feel like The Brutalist is gonna clean up in a lot of sh shit.
real quick thing, just a sidetrack thing. My brother just texted me and said, "The Monkey movie, is that shit going to be good?" I know what he's talking about, but there's so many movies he could be talking to me about.
Immediately, I went to Monkey Man with Dev Patel, and I was like, "How's he not seen that? That already came out."
That's what I thought at first. He's definitely talking about Better Man though. But like
Oh, I thought that already came out like a month ago too.
it did.
No one
Um,
like no one knows who that actual guy is in America because apparently he's like a huge star over in like England and shit.
oh
Robbie
yeah, I've
Williams or
seen that. Have you
whatever.
not seen that yet?
No, yeah, no. I That's another one that came out and I was like, I don't really know a whole lot about that guy. It's probably a fine movie, but I had other shit going on.
Please watch that movie. It's very interesting. I give it a 3, but it's closer to a 4 than a 2, way
I was
closer.
surprised it wasn't on here as much because I figured that movie especially like did it not get nominated for visual effects? Because I feel like visual effects would be something I would get.
It did. It did.
Okay.
It did. It did.
I
It
feel like with
did.
the monkey shit, I was like with that kind of stuff, I feel like that's just like obvious at this point. Whenever you do like mocap and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's a very interesting film. It's trying to get your attention desperately. So I would watch it, but you could wait for it on streaming, I guess. Music, original song. We have El Mal from Amelia Perez, The Journey from the 688, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Mi Camino from Amelia Perez, and Never Too Late from um well what?
Elton John's Never Too Late.
Oh, they didn't nominate this stupid song from Wild Robot. That's awesome. Yeah, I think El Mal should win. I want
I
El Mal
do.
to win. Haha.
I am with you on both those fronts. I'm happy that both that two songs from Amelia Perez got nominated though too.
Yeah, I know. Well, one of my favorite song from the movie is not nominated, which is Papa. Do you remember
That one
Papa?
was goofy. I'm that one would have been bad to be nominated. I feel
It's
like that
so
one.
personal though. Like Papa, 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 Papa.
If they
I'm
would have
quoting that
nominated that one, I would
constantly.
have felt like that one would have been like, all right, people can be critical
Well,
because that
if
one
they
just
nominated Vagina Plastia, the From Penis to Vagina song,
they should
that
have.
would be embarrassing.
They should have just because people are being so annoying about it.
Hmm. Yeah, so you're what? You think El Mal and you want El Mal?
Correct.
Let's skip over Best Picture for now and just come back to that at the
Yeah, we'll
end.
come back. Yeah. Production
Uh,
design.
yeah.
We got The Brutalist, we got Conclave, we got Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked.
Um, this is really tough. So Conclave, one thing that's really interesting about Conclave is they weren't given permission to shoot in a real place, so they actually had to design their own cathedrals, and that's really cool. So I think, and then The Brutalist is all about architecture, so like that's an easy pick. Obviously Wicked is, such an easy because this fantasy world.
I was about to
But
say, like, truly top to bottom, all of them have a reason, and they
oh
all have good
yeah,
reasons. But
I
purely
want
from a,
Dune.
I was about to say, purely from a taste thing, like, Dune is probably the most unique of all of them.
But I
But
think it'll be I think this is where you go with the the brutalist.
I think my want is Nosferatu. My prediction, I think, is Wicked.
Oh, because I'm between brutalist and conclave. This is gonna be such an interesting category for us when it actually is nothing
Perfect.
anything
Yeah.
else. Um, did you watch any of the live action shorts? I didn't.
No.
I get one of the juicy categories. Nice. For sound, there's A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Um, I'm gonna be that guy again. Actually no, I want Dune Part 2 to win because I want it to win everything. But I think that it'll go to Amelia Perez because that has music in it.
I'm going to say that I would want Dune Part 2 to win, but I think A Complete Unknown is going to
I think that that might be where they give it its one Oscar.
win.
James Mangold also won for. I mean, he's not in the sound department, but he got that to win for Ford v Ferrari. So that's pretty
Yeah.
safe bet actually. If Wild Robot wins, I'll kill myself. Visual effects.
Visual effects, we got Alien Romulus, we got Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I'm so happy that Planet of the Apes got in here, even though Better Man and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes are in here for pretty much the same reasons.
Yeah, I would go with apes on principle. I think and I want apes.
I want Alien Romulus because I fucking love that movie and I'm just happy it's made it in, but I would give the edge to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
I think the one I would least like to win is Alien Romulus because while I love all the alien effects, I think what they did with Ian Holmes' character was absolutely disgusting. I hate what they did with the digital re-release, and they
I hate
just
what
made
they
it look
did, but I didn't think
darker.
it looked horrible. I hate the
Uh,
principle of it more than I hated the actual like execution.
I guess, but it's such a sour taste in my mouth that I just don't want it to be rewarded at all. I mean, if it's not apes, I hope it's Dune.
Yeah.
Um, and then writing adapted screenplay, we have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing, which Nickel Boys is really not getting nominated for as much as I think it should have or would have.
This is probably
Um,
my least knowing of any of these because I've only seen two of them. So I really don't feel like I can give like the best prediction, but of the two that I've seen, I'd give it to Amelia Perez.
that's your thinking one.
Yep. Until I see the other
Um,
ones, I'd probably like honestly, I think just from hearing what I've heard about it, I think Sing Sang, but
wow, this is crazy. I'm gonna go with I think. Oh man, boy, I okay. So it's not A Complete Unknown. I
no.
don't think it's Sing Sing either because that's less about the
The
story and
only
more
reason
about
I
the
want a complete
acting.
unknown to win is because right now I see that the co-writer's name is Jay Cox, and that's funny.
I'm really into that.
Because it's not with the
I
X, which is like my family's last name on my dad's
Mhm.
side, but Cock is hilarious.
That is brilliant. I could see Conclave winning this. I could see Nickel Boys winning this because it's based off a Pulitzer thing, and then I want Amelia Perez to win because that'd be really funny. I
Yeah.
think either Conclave or Nickel Boys, and if I had to come up with one, give me Conclave. I think that might be the one that it wins.
I'm gonna have to watch Conclave. It's on Hulu, but
Yeah, you really should. It's good. I watched it on a really bad. I watched it the day after the election. So like I was really anti the idea of elections and religion at that
yeah.
point in time. So I was mean.
Yeah, being a person who's not in religion very much at all, that's what I was like when I saw it, I was just like, I'll see it when I see it. Like I'm not running out to see that one.
I will say it's not like a preachy religious movie, and it's also
Yeah.
not like a shit post about religion. Like it's really is somewhere in the middle where which is where it should be, I feel like.
I think it's an interesting, like, yeah. I don't know too much about it, but I'm interested just from, especially after seeing people are really loving it for this. But for original screenplay, we've got Honora, we've got Brutalist, we've got A Real Pain, September 5th, and The Substance. Right off the bat, don't even really know anything about September 5th other than I've seen the title flying around, but that's literally all I know about it.
I haven't seen it either. I know it's good. I think that the Brutalist will win, and I want Honora to win.
I would like A Real Pain to win just because I like Jesse Eisenberg and I really just love that story a lot. But yeah, I think The Brutalist might take this one. I'd love
Actually, I want to
Honora to win
rescind
too,
that.
but
I'm gonna rescind. I think that the Substance will get this one because they love to give original screenplay to the thing that's
yeah.
the most creative, and the Substance is really creative. So the Brutalist, they're like, we already gave it director and picture and blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
actually a good point. But yeah, personally, I'd like to see Jesse Eisenberg get it, but I wouldn't not be mad if The Substance got it either. Or honestly, I wouldn't be mad if anybody got this in this category. I obviously haven't seen September 5th, but if it's good, I trust that. But
hmm.
Sean Baker, it would be cool if Sean Baker grabbed it, but
Grab something, anything,
literally anything. That movie deserves everything it's nominated for, but I unfortunately don't know if it'll grab any of them.
Yeah, very, very,
I
very
feel like it's going to
sad.
be one of those movies that's going to be held out and it's going to be the biggest upset.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be like the Tar of this year, where it's like that's clearly the best performance of the year, and it's amazing, and it's a character piece about a woman's name, and it's not going to win. Speaking of Best Picture, we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. We can kind of go a little bit more in depth with this category. But let's start off with Think and Want. What do you think and what do you want?
So obviously, again, here I have not seen Nickel Boy or Conclave
Oh, I'm Still Here.
or I'm Still Here. Yep, I forgot about that one. Of these, I think The Substance might grab this one.
Whoa, no way.
The Brutalist has the best chance, I think.
Brutalist is my think. I think the Brutalist will win.
I think the Brutalist too. I wouldn't be shocked if Substance sneaked in there just because of how many people are really gushing over that one. I feel like it's kind of like that sneaker hit of like Everything Everywhere again, where no
Hmm.
one's really expecting it, but everyone's kind of wanting it.
Hmm.
But I also
I've
like
maintained for a while, a long time that I want Dune to win Best Picture, and that's what I think should win Best Picture. I don't think it will, but I think it's the defining movie of
I
2024 and
think A
Best
Complete
Picture.
Unknown has a really good shot of sneaking in there and making everyone mad. Just because,
Wow.
especially like we gotta remember we have a lot of older voters who are still voting and stuff. So like, Brutalist and A Complete Unknown, I think are still, especially because they've been being more lenient lately of giving stuff to like the more like artsier, more chancier movies like Everything Everywhere and stuff like that. Where I feel like it's gonna be one of those years where it's gonna go back to something of like everyone's kind of like whatever. It was a fine movie, but it wasn't the best movie of the year.
You know what? Let's play a little game here. All right, there's 10 movies. There's me and you, five each. We're going to draft back and forth what you think will win, and we'll see who ended up having the Best Picture winner on their list. And since I came up with the game, Steve, I would love for you to go first. What would you take? And we just said what we think will win, so the bias is
Brutalist.
All right, so you got the Brutalist.
Hmm.
I'm going to draft Amelia Perez.
Okay, then I will go The Substance.
I will go with Honora.
Then I will go a complete unknown.
I will then take Nickel Boys.
Then I'll do Conclave.
I will take Dune Part 2, even though I don't think Dune Part 2 will win.
Do I have one more then?
There's two more left, and you can take the one that you know, and I'll take the other one that I
Oh
like,
yeah, I'll say Wicked then.
and I'll take I'm Still Here. All right, so now
Okay.
it'll be interesting to see whose
Yeah.
list who got it, you know? So wait, you said you think the Brutalist is going to win, and then
Yeah.
what is your want again? The substance, right?
Um, the Substance would be the one I'd really want to win. I would really love it if Dune Part 2 got in there too, especially just for Denise's sake, but Wicked, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if it snuck in there either, because I really loved Wicked.
I
But that
wouldn't
being
want
said,
Wicked
too, I
to
still
win.
need to watch Conclave. I still need to watch Nickel Boys. I have a feeling I'll probably like both those movies too. So I don't know. There's nothing in here that like there's not like anything that's truly like jumping out of the movie I love the most. Because like the movie I love the most is Nosferatu, and that didn't get Best Picture nomination, even though I feel like it
Yeah,
should have.
I think that should have gotten a nomination. I think Challengers should have gotten one. Is Sing Sing not nominated for Best Picture? That's ridiculous.
Nope.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
that one I still haven't seen yet either, but I need to.
Yeah, it's a very interesting list. I mean, if you compare it to other years, I think it's a pretty weak list compared to other. I just think this is a weak year in general, and I think we're just gonna look back in 20 years and being like, oh, Dune Part 2 was 2024. That won Best Picture, right? Oh, it didn't. Oh, it was this other thing that no one even remembers or is talking about
What's the same thing
anymore.
as like Furiosa is still in my top 10 of the year, but no one that's not even nominated for like visual effects or anything, production design. Like everyone just like threw away that movie, even though
Yeah,
I
really
don't feel like it was really
embarrassing.
that bad.
I think it's great. I love that movie, and I hate
Yeah,
that everyone just ignores it. Um, but yeah, no, Amelia Perez. I know I said Dune Part 2 is what I want to win. I want Amelia Perez to win as well, just because
I think that
I
makes the
want to
most
see the world burn
interesting.
down. Yeah.
And I truly like, I don't really give a fuck what anybody else says at this point. Like, I really enjoyed that movie. And if people, a part of that community are really offended by it, then that sucks, obviously. Like, I don't think that was ever the intention to be like rude or anything. Like, I truly think the movie means well. And I think it's telling a very complicated story that I feel like probably there are at least people out there that can relate to this terrible, like, life that this guy lived through for so long when he knew inside that he was a woman. And I feel like it's a universal story, but also something that seems like it could be personal, even though obviously it was a made up story by some French guy. But I feel like
Mhm.
there's a lot there that I feel like was done in a very nice way.
I'll say this about Amelia Perez. I think that there's a lot of great trans art out there. Like this year I saw the TV Glow, which was
Yeah,
a
that's
huge
probably
hit,
the best one in my opinion.
well, a huge hit in indie circles. But like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff. Tangerine, that was about a decade ago, but still, you know what I mean? Like there is really good trans representation out there in art right now. And I think that by lashing out so heavily at this movie, we are just going to further discourage people from making art about trans people. Because now, if you're making a movie and you're not a trans person, you're going to be like, well, maybe I shouldn't put the trans person in there because then I'm opening myself up to, people, criticizing me because I'm not trans. And how can I write a character that's trans if I never know what it's like to be trans? Now, every
Yeah.
movie that's ever about space, with only what, the 45 fucking astronauts who have been to space, only they can make the movie about space. And that's like an
Yeah.
exaggerated example, but it's like acting is acting. You are acting like something else. If I play an alien, I'm not an alien. I'm a human being acting like an alien. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous to say that a trans actor can only play trans roles. It's just how it's ridiculous to say if a straight person can only play straight roles. I think that we are. And I guess that's the one thing I know we talk shit. We're very clear with our politics. We don't like Trump. I think that's
Yeah.
one thing that I think will become very interesting over the next 4 years is how cancel culture and PC and woke stuff evolves over the next 4 years.
It's going to be very interesting in how it affects art too, because art always reflects what's going on in the world. And a lot of this craziness is affecting a lot of people who make art, whether it's themselves personally or their friends or family, or because a
Hmm.
lot, well, I mean, just from statistical standpoint, a lot of people in the art industries and things like that are much more left-leaning, and a lot of the policies that are going into effect don't reflect those people's viewpoints. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. I mean, we already have things like civil war and things like that that are very reflecting of Trump's administration and different things going on in the government. And unfortunately, I think the we're going to see it. I feel like it's going to happen a lot in the horror genre, which makes me excited, but also like I don't want to really think about the administration as any more than I already have to. So that's kind of like makes me sad at the same time, but I also feel like that it's going to breed some very interesting conversations in art. So yeah, I feel like this year's Oscars, I feel like the movies that have come out, they're fine, but I feel like next year, especially next 2 years, I think we're gonna see some really crazy shit that's gonna be testing the boundaries.
That's what I said with this election. I was like, either what I want to win is going to happen or the news will be really interesting for 4 years.
Yep,
And
for better or
unfortunately,
worse.
life is going to be really interesting. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the Oscar nominations. Do you have any other thoughts you want to?
I hope for the best. I hope it's an entertaining show. Who's hosting this year? I forget.
Conan O'Brien, which I love, by the way.
Yeah, that actually is the best host they've had in years. It's not fucking Jimmy Kimmel for the 90th time, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, no, I hate Jimmy Kimmel. I hope he dies. What her name? Eliza, but what her name? I don't remember. See, that's the thing. I hate Trump, but I also hate Jimmy Kimmel. So like, and they hate each other. So it's this like, and they don't know I exist. So
Yep.
like, there's this like anti-love triangle. It's like, what is this feeling in Wicked? It's like loathing, unadulterated loathing. Um, but yeah, real quick before we sign off here, I watched Idle Hands on your Vudu.
Hell yeah.
I grew up with a major, major crush on Jessica Alba. She is so obnoxiously attractive in that movie. Everything
Yeah.
else was fine, it was silly and
It
fun.
is it is one of the better like stoner comedies of that era in my opinion because it's not just like a straight up stoner comedy. It has the horror element to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun idea. They literally say the thesis of the movie, like he's like the devil's favorite hands are idle hands, and it's like, got it.
They can't be too
Um,
they can't be too creative with it. I mean, the people watching it are fucking stoned, so
that's true. Yeah, yeah, it was weed propaganda. And then I think that's the only other thing that I watched on your not like I watched other things on your Vudu, like that you came in clutch when I needed to watch La La Land.
hell
Xavier had never
yeah.
seen it.
Oh.
But
Yeah, I think the other than that on your Voodoo that I've watched lately, I've watched a lot of the DC stuff, which mostly runs in like the 3-star range. I like them. None of them are like overly great so far. I think the only other thing that I've watched live action recently was oh God, what's that Julia Roberts movie? Runaway Bride.
Aaron Brockovich. Oh,
No, I've seen Aaron Brockovich I think a long time
it's a
ago, but
great movie.
Runaway Bride, it was fine. I like the other movie with Richard Gere and her much more, Pretty Woman. This one was just like
Yeah, that
whatever.
was that 10 movie romance package, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
trying to
because
make
I
through because
didn't want to buy it. Oh,
I've
no, no,
been
no. It's the 10 movie 90s package, I think.
90s, yeah. It's one of those. I've been trying to burn through some of those rom-coms that I've been pushing off for the longest time.
Yeah, it's fine. Um, One movie, all right, I will do. We usually recommend each other a movie on here at the end of our episodes. So I would love to throw a recommendation at you. Let me just double check that you haven't seen this movie. And yes, you have not seen it. It's not on your watch list either. I fell deeply, viscerally, instantly in love with Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy. Have you ever seen this movie?
That does not sound familiar at all.
This poster is definitely familiar. You've seen this before.
Maybe.
It came out the same year as 2001: A Space Odyssey, so clearly science fiction was peaking. It stars Jane Fonda, who you know from 80 for Brady. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Yeah, but it stars Jane Fonda, and she is so obnoxiously attractive. And this movie is like kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, like almost like Austin Powersy in like tone, like it's very foxy and groovy. There's an original song that's awesome, and I'm obsessed with called Barbarella. Um, it's a very provocative, sex-filled film, very cheeky, very cheesy, sci-fi type thing. But they're remaking it. I think it's Edgar Wright's directing, and Sydney Sweeney is starring, which that's perfect.
Oh, I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the cheese of this, and I think that the remake will fare better because I think the special effects and the action sequences will be so much cooler. The only thing I'm worried about is uh there needs to be nudity. If they do this movie and there is not nudity, then you are spitting in the face of everything that makes Barbarella special and, and wonderful in this world. But yeah, if she doesn't get naked, then you're wasting your time.
Hell yeah. Is this streaming anywhere or will I have to find it?
It's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, classic sci-fi. Yeah, literally it says in the far future, a highly sexual woman is tasked with whatever. And it's a very funny, fun, silly, goofy, practical effects, type of thing.
Hell yeah.
Do you have anything for me?
I don't. I just bought Airplane. Have you seen Airplane?
It's been too long. I should rewatch it, and I would love to be inspired to rewatch it.
Yeah, I
Because like
think
I
you might
watched it like
enjoy
as a
it,
teenager or a young teenager.
especially as an adult. It's definitely like the Zuckers aren't known for very great things in the later 2000s, but this is by far the best Zucker movie by a
David
mile.
Zucker.
Yeah.
Oh, the scary movie
It's
sequels
Jerry and
guy.
David Zucker. Yeah, because this is technically Airplane is a parody movie. It's I forget what the original movie is called, but it's literally about like an airplane like crashing into like a airport or something like that. But this is like a comedy, like a parody of it. But
Yeah, I
like
just
Kareem
remember the
Abdul-Jabbar is in it and
Shirley. Yeah,
shit.
Kareem. Don't call me Shirley. I
Yeah.
know not Neil Brain. The fucking guy. Yeah, yeah, Naked Gun guy.
Oh
He's in
yeah,
it too.
Leslie
Oh, you got it right, Leslie. Yep. Come on, King.
something.
Yes,
Leslie.
King.
It's not Leslie Jordan. That's the short gay dude that died.
And
It's
Leslie Jones is
Leslie.
on SNL.
Oh my
Leslie
gosh.
Carter. It feels like a K. Nielsen.
Lee Nielsen. Yep, I just got it at the same time.
Wow, I'm so proud. All right, I'll check that out again. Thank you. It's because there's another one coming out, right? No, it's another Naked Gun
Naked
coming
Gun.
out.
Yeah,
Well, still, I was wanting a reason
yeah.
to
I think
watch it.
the Lonely Island guys are doing that one.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sure, that'll be fun.
I
But
like
yeah,
them.
movies are really dreams, and we are really lucky to be in a time where film is very provocative, and people have hard opinions about it, and they care, and that's really, really special because that's what we do is we care about movies.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this video. I have hard reviews. Check it out. I'm gonna do my top 10 and bottom 10 and my most anticipated list of the year. Actually, my bottom 10 is so goated this year. It's amazing. But yeah, check me out. Hard reviews. Thank you.
Might have a bottom and top 10 video coming out here pretty soon too. I haven't recorded them yet, but I kind of like outlined them a bit of what I want to talk about. So keep an eye out on the film fan reviews. You might see some more stuff on there coming soon because I'm kind of getting that feeling back. I haven't had it in like over a year almost, but I've got the camera set up and everything. I just got to sit down and do it. So
Well, here's to
2025 is
being
all about doing it.
proactive. A different man. Be proactive. Don't sit and wait up at the thing in your ceiling, man. Go do something about it.
Hell yeah. Get some ass.
Ass.